It is the MAC against the Big Ten, and we're in Lincoln, Nebraska. As I mentioned a moment ago, Holly Saunders is with us, and Les touched on it, Holly. This is a Mid-America Conference team that's had success against the Big Ten.
You're exactly right, Tim, and many of these Northern Illinois players are familiar with the Big Ten programs and familiar because they were actually overlooked during the recruiting process by these Big Ten programs. And now these snubs have turned into chips on their shoulders. But let me tell you, Rod Carey, their head coach, is very efficient when it comes to coaching teams who have chips on their shoulders deep into Big Ten territory. Like if you remember back to 2013, Jordan Lynch and the Huskies won a thriller at Iowa on that field goal in the closing seconds. Then later that season, Northern Illinois won by 31 points at Purdue. That absolute blowout. Then in 2014, the Huskies knocked off a Trevor Simeon-led Northwestern. And in 2014, took on number 1 Ohio State and lost by just a touchdown. Tim, as I send it back to you here.
All right, Christian Hagan will kick it away. Nebraska won the toss, elected to receive. Speedsters Tyjon Lindsey and J.D. Spielman are back deep. It comes down to Lindsey, and he dropped it into the end zone. He could stay in, and that's what he needs to do, and he does once the ball goes through there. So he got a little bit of help from Spielman. I think he may have thought because he had touched it inbounds that he had to bring it out. He did not. The freshman came up with a heady play to keep him in the end zone for the touchback.
First thing you got to do is help him out, tell him to stay back in. That communication was great.
First down, Northern Illinois.
That's the kind of leadership you're looking for from a young player.
That's J.D. He's football smart, as you know, because he is the adopted son of Rick Spielman, the general manager of the Vikings, and our colleague Chris Spielman is the uncle of J.D. He's already had a kickoff return for a touchdown. You're looking at Tanner Lee. The numbers on him, pass interceptions, a couple of them really brought on by lack of protection a week ago. Great arm, perfect to run this Mike Riley pro-style offense. And it's a quick pitch to Spielman to start. And he gets it ahead to the 32-yard line. Mykelti Williams with the grab. A pickup of 7, and let's get Tillman's takes.
Timmy, first of all, Nebraska's already done it. Gotten off to a fast start, stressing the perimeter. We thought they would do it with their run game, but they're showing you that they've got some flexibility. And then, if you're on the opposite side for NIU, you've got to play takeaway. Nebraska's only going to run about 70 plays, but if you ball control it, you can really put them in a bind.
Mikhail Wilbon in for the injured Trey Bryant in the backfield, and he'll tote it this time. Has the first down before being thrown out. Mikhail Wilbon, 5'9", 195-pounder. He's got quick, short, choppy steps. He's hungry to advance it. Should get about 18 to 20 carries today.
Yeah, it's important that he gets a fast start as well, because he really is the guy that can take over for Trey Bryant.
Bryant, by the way, just had back-to-back 100-yard performances. It had been a while since that occurred, but a problem with his knee that had been injured before cropped up against Oregon. Beautiful out pattern, and it's caught by DeMornay Pearson-L. He had some big-time catches a week ago in Eugene. That dart gets him down to the 27-yard line. Mykelti Williams with the stop.
A start like this. Your first down, second first down, hit a big pass. Now you've run for a first down, thrown for one. The offense seems to be in gear. 36
yards on the aerial. Lee brings out one setback, and it's Wilbon. We haven't called Stanley Morgan's number quite yet. He's the big play receiver, flanked to the top. Wilbon again. Good penetration this time. Michael Allen, number 20, coming up from safety. He's a big-time hitter, making the stop for NIU.
You're right, Tim. Michael did with tremendous leverage on the backside. Allen in that safety spot last week is Eastern Illinois, 4 tackles and 2 solo attempts. This guy is outstanding. He's going to need to be to shore that backside up to prevent that cutback lane from coming up, Coach.
No question.
Michael is a redshirt senior. 2nd and 11.
Looks like they're coming.
Little curl pattern, and it's caught. Look at that by Lindsey. Tyjon Lindsey near the first down.
Nice catch, nice run. This is a confident ball skill player. He takes the ball with both hands and then gets into a run after catch as fast as he can. Really a nice play.
What's impressive about Lindsey, he's only about 160 pounds soaking wet, but again, because of that size and athleticism, he's able to spin out of that. So sure tackling going to be coming at a premium for the Huskies.
1st and 10.
3 for 3 for your quarterback.
Bounce out by Wilbon, shakes one would-be tackler, gets it down to the 10-yard line.
And Coach, what about the yards after contact on that play? Initial at the line of scrimmage.
The whole run was all about yards after contact. And, you know, he bounces outside, beats one tackler, and then really runs into the posse, but he gets big-time yards. That's a broken tackle, no doubt.
Yep, that's the second missed tackle in this series opening up. So NIU's got to settle down, get those nerves settled before this near 90,000 crowd in Lincoln.
That's Mikel Allen, too, one of their better tacklers that he shred. 2nd down and 3. They were sitting on it, and it's picked off. Northern Illinois comes away. It's Shawan Lurie, the All-America candidate for the Huskies.
Well, obviously they have a very efficient drive. They take themselves down to the 10-yard line, and they're in a position now where they're behind 7.
Remember just yesterday, guys, I asked Tanner Lee, I said, you guys mentioned all the people you want to stay from. They didn't mention number 19. Lurie did a tremendous job of squatting on that and settling in. That's his 5th interception this year. Outstanding job by this young talented player at the cornerback.
And they very rarely throw at Lurie. In fact, talking with Kevin Kane, the defensive coordinator of Northern Illinois, he said, I don't know how many times you'll get to say his name because no one throws in that direction. Well, they did today, and you found out why the scouting report is what it is.
Well, he's a preseason Jim Thorpe Award candidate. You just saw why.
A stunned crowd of nearly 90,000 as Lee sees one go the other way across the crowd. FS1 College Football is presented by Dave & Buster's. After a really nice drive, a big interception return for a touchdown by Shawan Lurie, 87 yards to give the Huskies an early 7-0 lead. So Christian Hagan will tee it up again, and Tyjon Lindsey and J.D. Spielman are once again in deep safety. Difficult blow for Tanner Lee, who's been beset with pass interceptions, some his fault, some not his fault. And here comes Tyjon Lindsey again. He's out to the 17-yard line. Spence, let's take a look at how he squatted on this and moved.
Coach wants to take a look at the discipline of his eyes. Back inside in for the quarterback. His eyes are focused. That's film study. He sees the little off-the-ball motion there. No false step. He drives on that, takes it to the house.
Yeah, it's more than film study. That play was practiced. They're keying the inside receiver. If the inside receiver slows, he's getting the ball. If the inside receiver goes to block, the outside guy's getting the ball. But their key is the inside receiver. That's why Lurie makes the play.
He just read the body language. It was just a brilliant job of focusing, securing the catch, and hitting his head on the goalpost the opposite direction.
Really one of the problems coming in. I think Mike Riley was looking for a fast start, fellas, here at home after the loss in Eugene. You see Wilbon ahead for maybe 2, possibly 3. And so now for Tanner Lee, it's a bounce back situation. And unless you understand this, you knew this kid, almost got him yourself while at LSU. He became eligible, got a 2nd year because of a rare circumstance within the NCAA and its compliance office. He's had a lot of losing in his past, and he's got to shake that.
No, it's a brand new day. It's an opportunity, and really he's got to drop what he just did and take his team to the field and perform. Be the player he wanted it to be.
A little case of amnesia would help, is what you're saying. Yeah,
that's correct.
There's Pearson L. He's a couple of yards shy of the first down. Jalen Embry, number 3, redshirt junior from Detroit's ML King High School with the stop.
So, Coach, now, and Timmy, it's about the inner game from the quarterback standpoint. 4 interceptions thrown last week. So, Coach, now he's got to get inside his head and then demonstrate that. That's where the confidence comes from, demonstrated ability, not just for himself, but for his teammates and his coaches as well in his play call.
He comes back right away and hits a hitch.
Yep.
But the difference was there was 2 wides, and there wasn't the key in the inside receiver. There was a separation there.
Helping him with the play calling.
Correct.
3rd down and 2. Wilbon trying to bounce outside. Great penetration there again by Northern Illinois. They may not be big, but they are quick. Bobby Jones, the outside linebacker, he goes 220 out of Miami Gardens, Florida. Running and chasing, Spencer.
Yeah, but that was William Lee, number 90, the inside. He's the one that got penetration, that defensive tackle. He got in there and played on the opposite side of the football, and there's nothing that disrupt a play than the defender being on the other side of the line of scrimmage.
Caleb Lightbourne will punt it away, and Jalen Embry, number 3, is back deep, standing around his 31-yard line. 4th down and a long one. They do boot it away, a high spiral, and a fair catch called for at the 26-yard line. 48-yard boot, no return. We've had some clouds and some sunshine. But right now, it's a cloudy moment because of Northern Illinois here in Nebraska. FS1 College Football is sponsored by Dave & Buster's. Eat, drink, play, watch only at Dave & Buster's. By Ford, going further so you can. And by Allstate, official protector of college football fans. Tim Brando, Spencer Tillman, Les Miles. Here in the first quarter, Northern Illinois with its first opportunity. They did have a pick for a touchdown, and now after a stop, Daniel Santa Catarina in at quarterback. Jordan Huff is the lone setback. And it's Huff right off the left side. And Daniel Santa Catarina is in, this young man, just his 2nd career start. And
Tempo.
is in for Graham, who got injured his elbow right out of the gates. Gets 6 yards on the first play as they go tempo, as Les mentioned. They'll play quick all day long. And here's DJ Brown, one of their favorite targets. A yard shy of the first down before being pushed back at the 35, a gain of 3.
DJ Brown and his battery mates coach did a great job of handling that teacup or bunch formation with the 3. It can be a nightmare because of, again, the switch routes that can come off of it, the natural picks and so forth. Good job by Nebraska defense.
Marcus Childers has come into the game. This is Childers. He's going Wildcat. So Childers is in the game at quarterback, and he takes it off the right side for the first down. We plan to see Santa Catarina. We mentioned Graham started as a backup, now the starter because Ryan Graham's elbow injury kept him out of play. But they're very similar in the sense of running this offense as quickly as they can. We will see Childers, the freshman from Adairsville, Georgia, from time to time.
And this team is about volume, Timmy. They want to get off as many plays as they can. Total opposite of what Nebraska's doing offensively.
A little bit like Arkansas State, who the fans here in Lincoln saw a couple of weeks back in the opener. Christian Blake, the intended receiver. Let's quickly get your Tillman's takes here, Spencer.
Well, unfortunately for Nebraska, they did get off to the fast start, but it ended up in an interception going the opposite direction, so that's a work in progress. Alternately, and we're seeing it right now, NIU has got to play takeaway. If they do that, they're able to control this ball game. Remember, 2 of the last 3 times they faced them, the only point differential was 5 points at the halftime.
Little run pass option look there, and they find Blake up to the 45-yard line, 4 yards shy of the first down. Lamar Jackson, the sophomore from Elk Grove, California, with the tackle for the Huskers.
And so much of a game like this for the Huskies, the visitors, is about confidence. And again, because of the early pick, the history, 2 of the last 3 times they've played, they've been within 5 points at halftime. Coach, against the vaunted historic Nebraska, they're confident right now.
Unbalanced.
Yep. Talking about the extra guy right there.
And they come that way.
Roll to the field.
Yep. Incomplete. It was there. DJ Brown was overthrown.
We have a penalty.
Yeah, marker down.
I would suggest that that could be holding, and I didn't see it, but just the area on the field. Let's see what they're going to say.
I think you're right, Coach, against NIU.
Ron Hudson is our referee. Looks like it may be declined.
Pass interference. Number 4, offense. Penalty is declined. Result of the play, 4th down.
So Blake basically holding at the wide receiver position, and that's going to force them into a punt formation.
Well, coach undermined themselves. The very reason they've got that unbalanced look is to get a man advantage on that side and still got caught for the hold.
Rod?
Yeah, they should be able to get the edge, and if they don't, they're certainly going to give enough room for the pass to get off. So the hold was something they really just shouldn't have happened.
Saw Rod Carey over there, took over for Coach Doran, who's now at NC State. Rod's in his 5th year. Coming off a losing season, they're trying to get their act back together. They've been a really championship program in recent years in the Mid-American Conference. Pearsonell lets it drop, and that's going to be a healthy roll for NIU. That real mistake there by Pearsonell.
You have to field the ball.
Yeah.
You got to run up underneath it and field the ball. If you do that, the things, the ball, it just doesn't steal yardage as it bounces into the end zone area.
The fall's hottest night, Empire, followed by Star, starting at 8 Wednesday, September 27th on Fox.
Spencer, let's quickly get your 4 keys to today's game.
Well, especially in light of the context now. Nebraska, this is old school. Just coach, just got to get her done. I mean, look, we know what's happening on the defense. Top 3 back-end defenders are out. You're transitioning to a new scheme. You just had one taken to the house on you. You're Nebraska. You got to dig down and get it. Then ultimately, you got to recognize that NIU is able to deny you possessions. Let's see what this series renders right now, because the last one was disappointing, to drive the length of the field only to get turned away by mistake, self-inflicted.
After the 53-yard boot, Nebraska starts from their 2, and it's Mikhail Wilbon burrowing ahead to the 5-yard line. And Mike Riley, really one of the good guys in this business, and at 64 years of age, just so grateful to be here. We met his president, Hank Bounds, yesterday, and his wife, Dee, of course. They were such fixtures in Corvallis, Oregon. But, Les, you thought enough of him that your son would come and play for him, so he is one of the great guys in the business.
There isn't any question, and anybody that knows Mike Riley knows that he's going to take care of his kids, and so I'm thrilled that my son chose Nebraska.
On 2nd down, Lee's pass, a quick curl. DeMornay Pearsonell gets it to the 9-yard line. This flanker's got some big-time capability, but 3rd down facing them again, and they struggled with that last week, Holly Saunders.
Yeah, Tim, just to piggyback on what we're seeing here, what you said, Nebraska offensive coordinator Danny Langdorf told us the other day that they have really struggled, like you said, on 3rd downs. They've been significantly better on 4th down conversions, and actually compared it to the game of golf, saying it's like going eagle, bogey, 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 eagle, which I know you understand, Tim, and all other golfers understand. This is an extremely stressful way to play the game, so Nebraska just needs to make a couple more pars today, Tim. You're taking all the birdies always.
Indeed, thank you. And they just missed a 2-footer right there, a quick out. And Albert Smalls, the corner, knocks it away from J.D. Spielman, and so they'll be in a 4th down position, but you're not going to take a chance on this part of the field.
Yeah, these NIU corners right here are not wasting. They are reading the ball, playing with tremendous ball skills with that inside hand. You can see the right tip. Well, that's just classic. No margin for error there. The eyes were peeking inside, man coverage, and he owned that possession.
4th and 2, should have never got to 4th and 2. They should have had the opportunity to have a short yardage play there.
Lightborn boots it away. Jalen Embry's back deep. Another fair catch called at his 40. So quality field position coming up for the Huskies from DeKalb, Illinois. That was a 51-yard boot.
Hey, as a coach, this is the piece that you got to think of. Short yardage, they have not handled short yardage well. They had a 3rd and short and 2 yards. You go to 3rd and 2. You got to be able to drive and get yourself a 1st down running the football. That's a concern. The RPOs, they're a little bit concerned now to throw that 2-receiver RPO because it was picked for 6.
We got a bevy of great games coming up later today. We'll tell you more about it in a moment. Marcus Jones gets ahead for a couple of yards. That Ohio State game that's coming up at 4 Eastern today.
It's important, boy.
Let me tell you something. Right now, with Urban Meyer's secondary issues, he's glad to see, I think, a running team come into
his quarterback
Ohio
issues
State
too, Tim.
Yep.
Not playing with great confidence.
Marcus Jones is in the backfield now on 2nd down. Quick out pattern complete to Christian Blake. He is the favorite target, really, another leader of this team offensively, and the senior from Fort Lauderdale brings it in. Marcus Newby ran him out.
Correct.
Marcus Newby was late, though, Coach, to the party. There was a lot of big cushion between himself and the receiver on that play. He's got to play with a lot more integrity
But the good news is you saw the speed of the linebackers showing up.
Yep.
And that's big.
He was limping going back. They're going to need him to stay healthy.
3rd 5, let's go.
They're playing without Chad Beebe already, one of their outstanding seniors, the son of Don Beebe, who has
I like
concussion
this combination right here. If he comes back to the field, there it is. I love that.
Good defensive work by Eric. They call him E. Lee against Jawan Lindsay, number 9, to knock it away.
Well, I like the thought there. Again, you could come back in on the inside here. The fact that they were off coverage really made this a possibility. I didn't like the decision to come back inside on the route. Maybe he finds the grass and sits it down and splits.
Stayed with the out.
Absolutely.
And to give them an option, I'll bet you there's just some concern about he thought that the route was defended to the outside, so he really ad-libbed.
And those, we call those choice routes, where the receiver has the choice to sit it down or treat it like man. If he finds that void in between those defenders, it's zone, you got a completion.
Matt Ferens will punt it away. And Des Moines Pearsonell is back deep again. He decides to field this one, and that was questionable. At the 6-yard line, he was popped immediately. 46 yards the boot. Trayshawn Foster, reserve safety, down there to really give him a pop for NIU. Right in the shoulder pad.
Royals, Indians, today at 3:30 Eastern on FS1.
FS1 College Football is sponsored by Wendy's Fresh, never frozen beef hamburgers, the official hamburger of the NCAA. Oh, some of the great names in the history of Nebraska football. Johnny Rogers, that game of the century win with Rich Glover and company over Jack Mildren, Greg Pruitt, and the Oklahoma Sooners back in 1971. And how about this battle? The battle in the trenches, where you'd think the Huskers would be showing their wares. It hasn't happened to this point, Les.
No, sir. The short yardage plays are the example in the drives off your goal line. You must get 2 first downs here so that you don't punt the ball to short field. If you want to be able to turn the field over, 2 first downs you got to have.
Second straight possession from inside the 10 for Nebraska, and Wilbon gets it out to the 9. Kyle Pugh, leading tackler inside from Chicago Heights, coming in to make the stop. Boy, Kevin Kane could not stop talking about his linebackers, Spence. Very high, not just on Jawan Johnson, but Pugh and Bobby Jones as well.
But they're athletic, and they can move, and they can run and chase. But to the point you guys were just making, you've got a mean advantage of 42 pounds across that offensive line. So if Nebraska just runs at them, I believe that they, despite being down a 7 spot, can come back and wear them out and still make this game interesting. Directions left.
Right over the middle, tight end Tyler Hoppus.
Nice job.
Who may be one of their real game breakers. He was behind a couple of seniors and only now has become a late bloomer at the position this year.
Yeah, that play or that starboard side charge or port side charge to the left had everybody going one direction. Hoppus slipped back out against that green and then found a little soft spot to sit it down for a nice completion.
That may well have been a hot read as well with what they had coming off the edge. You know, he fell right into that spot. Gain
of 11 and a first down. So mission accomplished early, Coach. They got the 1 first down. Halfway home. Lee stepping up. Beautiful throw. That's a dart out to the 37-yard line to Stanley Morgan.
Oh.
Jalen Embry there to make the tackle. And we've got a marker down. So hold everything.
Yeah, it may be holding.
Holding. Number 71, offense. 10-yard penalty, first down.
That's Matt Farniak, who played so well last week in spelling David Neville.
Yeah. And you can see the holding here. And again, number 1, the quarterback does a fine job of stepping up inside, but number 12 is held right there by Farniak, number 71, on that edge.
What they expect that tackle to do is to keep his hands inside the framework in the middle. What happens is when a guy gets inside on one hand and that hand gets on the back, an official will call it holding.
Josh Corcoran, number 12, was that linebacker that was coming off the edge that was held by Fournier.
And that's one of those size matchups. You know, Josh is just a little guy, but he's coming off that edge with speed. It's intimidating.
Little screen action. Wilbon in some trouble. Look at him negotiate.
There you go.
Wow. Out
Nice play.
Past the 25 to the 29. And we got a marker down again. at a point where some blocking was taking place around the 15-yard line.
But a lot of good happened with that play, the penalty withstanding if it is against Nebraska. Excellent play call on the screen with pressure coming and the ability of Wilbon to slip that initial tack, and then yards after contact significant.
Illegal block in the back. Number 67, offense. Half the distance to the goal, first down.
That's Gerald Foster, the junior from right here in Lincoln out of Southeast High School.
Well, here's Foster right here. You can
Right
see
there.
him, the push. When you got those numbers and they're turned back to you, you just got to pull off. Sometimes these big guys, coach, going in one direction, and it kind of defies the laws of physics. They can't really pull up and stop themselves, but you got to play with heads up.
Consistency, or lack thereof, has been the issue for Mike Riley's team in the early going. Now, they put some great drives together and then suddenly go 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. That's been really the recipe for them, both in the win here against Arkansas State and last week in Eugene. First down and 24. And that's Lindsey, Tyjon Lindsey. Just a quick hitter out to the 13-yard line.
Like the balance, though. They're trying to work both sides of the boundary and the field, the boundary that time, and then the field in the previous attempts. That keeps the defense honest, makes them defend the entire breadth and width of the field. But once again, if you're Mike Riley, your identity, despite the fact that you want to be a pro-style attack, you got to attack the weakness, in my opinion, coach, of what you perceive that to be for your opponent.
There isn't any question, and they need to stay away from Lurie 19 and attack those safeties.
2nd and 17. Middle screen this time to Pearsonell, and he stopped at the 20. So back to the original line of scrimmage, where it will be 3rd and 10. That's Kyle Pugh making the tackle.
I'm liking the play selection there because it's an inside play, and you get rid of it really quickly. You can see right underneath the little route. Gives you an opportunity to get the ball in the hands of your playmakers, coach, in open space.
Now, there was the example of out blocking and come inside, so then that it really took the key away from the other piece. There was to come inside. Now is the second receiver coming inside is now in view of the come around screen.
3rd and 9.
Ooh.
Intercepted again off the pressure. This one taken away by Jawan Johnson. Another pick six.
We have Farniak down, getting up slow on the left, on the tackle there.
He's still down, and here comes that pressure again. This is remindful of the end of the Oregon game when they were trying to tie it up late.
Draquan Brown, number 40, was the guy that came from the outside. The route, forget about it, never really had a chance to develop because of that pressure. It was the pressure on lead that caused the errant pass. Again, Draquan Brown, all 6 foot of him, 225 pounds from Brenham, Chicago, was death on that edge.
Hagan for the extra point.
Quiet as a church mouse in there.
Is it ever? We talk about it often. Sometimes the early window in sports television on a Saturday brings that "are you watching this game" moment. I'm guessing a few people from DeKalb, Illinois are calling a few of their friends saying, guess what? The MAC attack is underway. Tanner Lee with 2 pick sixes, down 2 touchdowns.
Ooh.
I just saved a bunch of money on my car insurance with Geico.
Huh. I should take a closer look at Geico.
Geico can help with way more than car insurance. Boats, homes, motorcycles, even umbrella coverage.
This guy's gonna wish he brought his umbrella. Fire at will!
How'd you know the guy's name is Will?
Yeah.
It's an expression, fire at will. You never heard of that?
Oh, there goes Will.
Bye, Will.
That's not his name.
Take a closer look at Geico. Great savings and a whole lot more.
There you see Jawan Johnson, junior from East St. Louis. Young man who had a remarkable performance a week ago. Recorded a career-high 10 tackles in the season opener with Boston College. He's got a magnificent future, this kid, and is talented enough. He's one of those guys that's talented enough to play in the Big Ten. Spielman from the goal line. JD took it back to the house.
Take it home.
He's got room to the right.
Here we go. Come on. Come on. There you go.
Uh-oh, ball on the ground late. Ball on the ground late. I think they're going to say he was down.
Yeah.
Yep, I think
He
they're
was
saying down by contact. I think they're saying down by contact, but they may take a look. You never know. For 50 yards on the return, and they'll say the ball is down by contact.
This is going to be
The ruling on the field is that the ball carrier was down before the ball came out. First down, Nebraska.
Here we go.
Ken Kester is our replay official today, and
that view by our crew just got it right there. That ball was down, but I got to go back and tell you, Coach, it's a fundamental thing, ball security. When you feel the pressure, that ball at some point needs to be in the outside hand, away from the oncoming traffic here. If you got the ball in the outside perimeter, that's not an issue.
That's correct. And they're looking to tomahawk that ball on the inside.
I mentioned down by contact. That's more of an NFL vernacular, but the truth is the ball was in his hand as he hit the ground, and therefore it's his possession.
Offense, 5-yard penalty, first down.
I'm accustomed to seeing the officials just point to the ground and say it, but clearly that was not a fumble. Foster was guilty that time, and that'll back him up. Boy, they've been shooting themselves in the foot offensively time and time again, fellas.
Gerald Foster, 67, the left guard, was the one that Mike Riley wants to get on the same page. And that consistency factor we talked about in the open, usually at least 2 games into the season, was something the defense was struggling with. Now the bug seems to be bitten on this offense.
Bad snap. Tanner Lee did all he could just to get it, and now Wilbon is in some trouble because of it. As Juwan Johnson, who had the pick 6 and clearly is feeling some adrenaline, is over there quickly to make the stop.
Juwan Johnson is playing with tremendous effort. Tanner does a nice job of handling this ball and pulling it out of the air and controlling it. But again, Juwan Johnson on the back end of this, watch him play with leverage, outside shoulder upfield to turn that run back inside where the cavalry was coming to help him.
The interesting thing is the way that ball was fielded. In other words, the way that the center blocked made a significant difference in how that ball came out. Center's got to settle down.
2nd and 15. Over the middle. Spielman, he overshot him. And almost got another pick, too, after the tip. Williams almost came down with that. The safety, Mike Kelty Williams, number 8. This pass was just overthrown.
Unfortunate because it was a late developing crossing route underneath. It wasn't quite a shallow crossing route. He was going to like a skinny, not a skinny post, but he was going to that corner over there, and he was coming across the formation. That's where you sit down, you square your feet up, and this is what Tanner Lee is known for. He spins the ball exceptionally well, but the accuracy could have used a bump there.
Should have been a nice, easy completion.
Yep. 3rd and 15. Pressure up the middle again. Pass incomplete. Intended for Wilbon, and boy, number 12, Josh Corcoran just laid the wood to him on that in spot. He has a linebacker build, but he'll put his hand in the ground at only 250 pounds. Take a look at this.
Well, the pressure is coming from both sides. You can see number 12 just nailed him. A very appropriate hit with the shoulder on the inside, the head inside, away from the head and neck area. Good coach football there.
Caleb Lightbourne will boot it away. Hoping it gets into the end zone, and it does for the touchback. 55-yard boot. Let's get to Los Angeles. A game break from Greg Wolf.
Tim, thank you. Let's go to Heinz Field. Number 9, Oklahoma State at Pitt. A rematch of last year's epic near 6-hour battle. Mason Rudolph threw for 540 yards in this game last year. Hooks up with Marcel Aitman. Breaks a tackle. He's gone 69 yards for the score. 21-0 Cowboys first quarter. Tim, Spencer, Les, back to you.
Look out for them Cowboys. No question.
I don't think anybody's done a better job of coaching the team in the last few years than Mike Gundy has done at Oklahoma State in that conference.
Well, thanks, Spencer. I appreciate you.
Said well by the man who was able to beat Bob Stoops twice.
Yeah, he actually had Gundy as his offensive coordinator.
Right.
I root for Mike so hard.
I know you do.
And I love Oklahoma State.
Jordan Huff reels that one in at the 25-yard line. By the way, he came into this building with one Tatum Bell in 2002. They got a big-time win in one of those years when he beat Oklahoma as well. Into the first quarter. Husky mania. DeKalb and the Cornstalks are smiling outside Chicago. FS1 College Football is presented by Dave & Buster's. Tim Brando, Les Miles, Spencer Tillman, Holly Saunders with you in Lincoln, Nebraska. Now the Cornhuskers have outgained Northern Illinois 115-32, but it matters not if you have 2 pick sixes. And
they've had the ball the whole game.
Yeah, they really have. And Tanner Lee is now getting pressure from both inside and on the edge. And they got to figure things out between now and halftime. Jordan Huff is in the backfield for Santa Catarina. And it's Huff ahead for a couple of yards on second down as we start the second quarter. Jordan, a redshirt senior out of Mobile, Alabama. Antonio Reed, number 25, the junior from Memphis, Tennessee, made the tackle.
Marcus Newby also coming off that edge, number 3. So again, a lot of red shirts around there. Reed, number 25, also involved in it. So those Huskers are coming to the party now.
Little bear alignment.
Yep.
Wide backers. Contain.
Pressure inside on 3rd and 2, and on the crossing pattern, it's Spencer Tears, number 14, the redshirt sophomore with the grab, where he has been one of those guys that they has long-term upside.
Coach is talking about that bear alignment. That just means the center and both guards are going to be covered on that play. And I don't know if the numbers affect that somewhat, but if they've reduced on the outside, then you got one-on-one matchups.
Really, to me, it was zone, and it was a 7-man box, but and it just changed the alignment.
1st and 10. Santa Catarina, who can run it and run it well, out to the 39-yard line. This is a sophomore from Geneva, Illinois, and got that opportunity against Eastern Illinois, his first action of the year. His brother Michael started 12 games as a linebacker at NIU in 2014, helped that team win a division and a conference championship. Big time sports family too. His sister Jackie played at Illinois, later in a pro women's league. His sister Brianna played at DePaul. So a big time sports family, the Santa Catarinas.
They should bounce out to the tight end side if they got a check. But I want you to know, they're walking those safeties down. It'll be interesting to see where they end up here.
They went to a balance look real quick.
Used all of that play clock and got the right play called. That's Jordan Huff for a first down into Huskers territory, and Reed runs him down.
I think it was a Reed 0. In other words, those corners, those safeties walked up and checked those tight ends. Those tight ends blocked, they stepped down.
Beautiful piece of running by Huff there. You saw him with that little stiff arm, and but it was preceded by a beautiful inside move at the line of scrimmage to get additional yards.
Huff is a big back, and sports in there for yards. It's seldom does he ends up with zeros.
And here he goes again. Got a great block from his wide receiver too. How about that block from Christian Blake? And Les, I know you love that. A physical approach, even at the wide receiver position downfield. That made it a 19-yard play.
Big runs always come with perimeter blocking. So whether it's a tight end that steps in front of a safety, whether it's a wide receiver steps in front of a safety, that's when it happens.
At the beginning of that play, Luke Gifford, number 12 from Nebraska, was the one that overran that play that allowed him to bounce side. He's playing like a camp technique inside, eyeballing it now. Stay at home.
Or reverse pass.
And they got a tight end down there. Well covered, though. Good defensive work by Reed, 25. Checking Mitchell Brinkman, 89, off that reverse pass. Blake threw it after getting the pitch from Santa Catarina.
I think Nebraska was in the perfect defense to play that. Again, with number 12, Luke Gifford looking inside. He stayed at home where he was beaten on the previous play. Despite man coverage on the backside, it may have been some combination underneath, but again, tremendous job.
Marcus Jones is in the backfield. A check down to Marcus, and he stopped at the 28-yard line. So a negligible gain. It'll be 3rd and long coming. That's Davis, Carlos Davis, 96. In that 3-4 alignment, he's the defensive end. Now Childers, Marcus Childers checks back in. He ran one Wildcat play for Rod Carey in the opening series. Tommy Mister, number 26, has joined him in the backfield. They go shotgun.
Got a strong right.
Fake the jet sweep, and Childers takes it right up the gap. A planned quarterback run inside the 25 to the 22. That puts him in great shape for a field goal opportunity.
Very efficient play. They got an extra number when the quarterback carries it. He carries the ball like a fullback.
Yep.
I mean, he is not a lightning fast guy. He's a guy that has strength and will go in there in short yardage situations.
I love what you're talking about, Coach. When the quarterback carries you, you're winning the numbers game. You don't spend an extra fullback in there to block.
That's Omaha's own Christian Hagan missing this one. This is a homecoming for him. So you know that he's got to have some butterflies. He misses that one wide to the right side. There is the miss. The hand by Orn, who's in for Chad Beebe, the normal holder. and he just pushed it wide. Timeout. Northern Illinois by 14.
6 interceptions in 2 games. Tanner Lee has got to get it corrected. They tried to work it on the outside. That's a deep throw. It's a tough throw all the way to the sideline, but you got to be able to make it. The pressure, the protection has got to be able to help him up front on the back end. The frustration sets in. Body language coach is going to go 1,000 miles to get them in this reclamation project as we make our way to the end of the second quarter.
Mikael Wilbon remains the lone setback behind Tanner Lee. The Mornay Pearson L flanked to the top of your screen.
There you go.
He gets out of the pressure, rolling right, and finds Pearson L at the 24-yard line to just get something out of it. That's Albert Smalls, number 1, the redshirt junior, making the tackle for Northern Illinois. Kevin Kane told us when we spoke, fellas, I feel really good about our guys. I think they know that they could play at the Big Ten level. They've had success against them in the past. And our quickness is going to be the difference. They are strong in their secondary, Spencer, the exact opposite of Nebraska. And their linebackers and their safeties and corners have really been controlling this game to this point.
And I think on that last play, we saw an example of that, Coach, with the Josh Cochran, number 12, at defensive end, showing you some of that athleticism. He's about 6'3", 250. He's a junior at Lakeville South. Outstanding athleticism. That's what they're taking advantage of.
Cole Conrad is being tended to the center, and they're taking him off under most of his own power. And that'll bring Michael Decker, 79. That's a big-time position center in this offense, Les.
No doubt.
The sophomore from Omaha will come in now. And that makes matters even more tenuous for an already struggling quarterback from a confidence standpoint. 2nd and 8. Jet sweep to Spielman. He's ahead to the 30-yard line. Again, this team is so quick, hard to run horizontally against him. Bobby Jones, number 6, runs him down. Almost missed the handoff here.
Great job of blocking, though. That could be, Coach, a point of the center. You know, Cole Conrad is out of there with the injury. You got a new center in there. You're having the stretch. Maybe the seat of the ball is not where it typically would be for Tanner Lee as he gets that ball from the center. It matters.
Well, 0 for 4 on 3rd downs, Nebraska. That point that Holly Saunders mentioned earlier, still ringing true here in the second quarter. Wilbon in the backfield, and McHale is ahead. How about that? Beyond the 40 to the 44-yard line.
The new center got nice push, and he stayed right on his hip and right up the center. He went. Well done.
Devin Webster, number 94, is the guy that got turned out by the new center in the game. Again, just an excellent job of just turning him inside and allowing his idea of where the ball was going to go to push him in that direction to open up a natural void in that front for the Huskers.
Webster, 94 for Northern Illinois, is the junior college transfer in for Jack Heflin in this series as they go to their second line guys up front. Wilbon still the lone setback. And he dropped it. Ball is on the ground. Tanner Lee gets it and falls on it wisely back at the 39-yard line. Boy, that would have been, given what's already happened, near disaster for Nebraska.
Tanner Lee had to turn into a pinball wizard on that one. He bounced on it after ricochet. It comes flying out there. Watch the kick. The ball's out. It's going to bounce right back out to Tanner Lee, and he jumps on it. Does a great job.
I didn't understand the mistake.
He never had it.
Where did he put the ball? Did he put the ball in the center?
Yeah, I thought he did. I thought the ball was where it needed to be. Wilbon, listen, Wilbon has been fumble prone. We were told that by his coaches yesterday. Trey Bryant has been the guy you could really count on, and he's not available today to do that knee injury. And there's Stanley Morgan taking that quick out, and then a little yak yardage, yards after catch.
I think we're looking at short yardage here.
McKelty Williams with the stop.
I don't know he got the spot.
Coach, I think you and Tim are onto something about Trey Bryant's absence. You know, he had carried the ball 51 times, Coach, in those 2 games, so he was toting it a lot. That meant fewer carries for the guys, his battery mates back there. And a running back has got to carry it a while before he gets comfortable. And so we hadn't seen the explosive yards downfield in the run game.
A wide receiver group comes in, tight ends go out. Looks like fullback and tight end back in, change their minds.
Yeah, they're going to go run and get this.
Down to 2 seconds on the play
clock. They got to call timeout.
Yeah,
they changed their mind on personnel.
So they'll get the personnel groupings worked out. No head coach is happy when they have to use a timeout that way. We'll be right back.
Royals, Indians, today at 3:30 Eastern on FS1.
FS1 College Football is sponsored by Allstate, official protector of college football fans. As we were going to break and before the timeout was called, we had some confusion in what kind of groupings we needed, Les. Look at this.
Yeah, they ran receivers on and then turned around and they said, hey, listen, it's less than a yard. So what they should have done and what they're going to do right now is play big guys, and they ought to have a play that they feel really good about going getting 3rd and 1.
Yeah, without having to call that timeout. There's Mikhail Wilbon as the lone setback. It is 3rd down and less than a yard. Conrad is back in the game. That's certainly good news. So the veteran center back on the field. And
quarterback sneak.
Yeah, Lee should be close, but boy, that was good work by the interior line of Northern Illinois. They really stuffed it. Great work up front.
Ben Leroy, Jack Hefflin, number 98, those guys really stoned them at the line of scrimmage.
3rd down woes continue for Nebraska, even in short yardage.
I mean, look at the get off on the ball. The Huskies, all of those guys, athletic. Ben Leroy, number 99 in there. Jack Hefflin, number 98. Off the ball.
First down, baby.
Yeah. Did you see that spot? Did you see where the official was coming in from? He got a right foot spot, baby.
He did.
And when you get a right foot spot, you get a first down.
That's correct.
Mikhail Wilbon is the setback. The ball now at the 46 on first down. Towards the boundary and stopped after a gain of maybe 3. Bobby Jones, boy, how active has he been? This kid, along with Jawan Johnson, Josh Corcoran, have been outstanding. Kyle Pugh, too. I mean, these linebackers and defensive backs are the strength of Kevin Kane's defense at Northern Illinois.
It was Cole Conrad, though, the center, who's back in the game now, number 62, that did a great job on that nose of that defensive tackle that get outside and upfield so you get a position to free his back.
2nd and 7. Lee on the comebacker, running that curl, and again, outstanding defense against Morgan by Albert Smalls, number 1. From Monsignor Pace, where he played out of Miramar, Florida.
We need a double move, man. I'm just telling you, when they sit on the hitches, all you're going to do is give you a touchdown when you give him a hitch and go, or a slant and go.
Well, Smalls actually had that hand on there, and he did a great job with his ball skills, but he had that right hand on the shoulder. Everybody stays away from him. 19, his battery mate, Sean Lurie, on the opposite side. But again, Smalls is a pretty good cover.
Yeah, he's playing well. He is. And the one time they did throw in the direction of Lurie, he took it back 87 yards to open this game, and now another timeout taken by Nebraska.
What I'm saying is you can't allow them to play you that tight on hitches. I mean,
double move, Coach. It's time for a double move. We were double moving last night. Well into the evening here in Cornhusker country. 7:26 remaining here in the second, and you see the circumstances on 3rd down that have faced and really been so problematic for Nebraska. Now, the good news last week against Oregon was they converted every time on 4th down in that comeback, but they've had trouble in conversions even here today, and they did against Arkansas State as well in the opener. 3rd down and 7 now. Mikhail Wilbon, the lone setback. The tight end Hoppus is in a slot left.
Just a 4-man rush with a gain.
Pressure. He didn't feel it. Off the edge. Ball is loose. It's picked up. And going the other way, Bobby Jones. Jones trying to get to the house and is stopped at the 10-yard line. A saving tackle by Wilbon. Sutton Smith, 15, coming off the corner, went right past the tackle.
There's a fumble recovered by the defense.
And this was very reminiscent of the Oregon game late.
The pressure came right around right tackle on that side, Timmy.
That's Sutton with the hit.
Matt Farinick was the one who got beat on that play, number 71. Gives it up. Jones makes him pay for it. He's headed the opposite direction again. No protection for Tanner Lee on that play.
Oh, and you can't blame that son.
Yeah.
The previous play is under further review.
You know, I just think it's a fact that when you think of Nebraska, you think offensive
What you're
line,
saying,
right?
yeah, let's see if the ball gets back. Let's see if he has it when he hits the ground.
Well, let's see.
He has the ball until it hits the ground.
Well, there was movement, though, as he was going down.
Show it again.
I really believe that there was some movement as the ball was hit. Let's take a look at it again. As he's hit right there. Does the ball move?
He's got the ball. He's got the ball in his hands.
Yeah.
He's maintaining it.
He had it. He bobbled it briefly, but I think you're right. He did maintain it
until he hits the ground.
This could be called back. Well, Mike Pereira is back in our studios in Los Angeles and will help us. Our referee Ron Hudson and replay official Ken Kester are at work right now. I don't think there is any question that he bobbled it upon the hit by Sutton. But as you so noted, it appeared that he regained possession before he hit the ground.
He yanked on the ball. It was not the way to carry it, but it certainly was possession. And I don't know if they'll change it. Because
I think they're going to overturn it. I really do.
They have to see the angle, and that's the problem.
Well, I think the natural motion is to brace yourself for the fall. And his left arm going back to me was exactly that. It didn't suggest that he didn't have control of the football, in my opinion. That's a natural move to brace yourself for the fall. So his left arm going back is not lack of control, in my opinion.
Agree.
Yeah, but the ball did move.
I see it moving.
The ball did move initially. Let's go to Mike Pereira in Los Angeles. Mike, what do you think?
Yeah, this is one of these tough ones because of that fact of that initial bobble. If you're gonna rule at that point that he lost possession of a bobble, then in order to regain possession, you have to hold on to the ball when you hit the ground. It's just like catching a pass. So in that instance there, that leads me to believe that they might stay with the ruling on the field. But I do think that when he does hit the ball, he's got somewhat of possession. But I'm kind of in that camp that I might leave it as it is.
Oh boy!
I think he repossessed the ball. That's my.
I did too.
I do too. When he yanks on that ball and goes down, let's see what he calls.
Here we go.
After further review, the quarterback had control of the ball when he hit to the ground. Therefore, there is no fumble. It'll be fourth down.
Yeah, nice work, Coach Miles. Nice work, and we thank Mike Pereira for his help. But I do agree with Mike's point of view in that the initial hit did cause the bobble. It was really crucial that Tanner regained possession before he hit the ground and after he hit the ground.
It could have clearly gone the opposite direction.
Boy, talk about a big swing right there.
Because I think you would have to rule whether or not it was repossessed, and I'm not so sure that they couldn't have seen it the opposite direction.
Still, it's fourth down, and they'll boot it away. Lightborn going high in the air and taken by Embry as he falls down at the 23. Well, we talked about the flu bug that was besetting this team and also the early start. Holly, what are you seeing down there on the Nebraska sidelines?
Yeah, Tim, walking back and forth, it's remarkable the lack of urgency down here. They're down 14 points. Last week at the half, they were down 28 points, but still nothing is going their way, yet they are still calm and cool right now. At some point, I feel that has to change, but honestly, down here, the only thing I can hear are 15 NIU fans sitting in the corner. The rest of the crowd is silent.
Yeah, I bet. Mike Riley's team has been outscoring people in the second half, but being outscored big in the first. Week after week, Santa Catarina goes wide.
Here we go.
The tears, and he's down at the 15-yard line.
Good quality defense played by those guys in the perimeter. You had contained, and you had an inside-out alley force. So that's a nice tackle.
They're going to need a lot more of those kinds of tackles, Coach, to get back in this game. And
they're playing zone now. I mean, it's a 7-man box, and they're backing it up.
They got a lead, so you expect them to play zone in this context, but they're going to have to get aggressive and get some turnovers at some point.
Chris Webber made that tackle, 49, the outside backer for Nebraska. Loss of 8. Now Santa Catarina, with the run-pass option, decides to let it fly. It's Jawan Wesley. And Wesley is going to step out at the 30. So that'll be 2, maybe 3 yards shy of the first down.
On defense, it's all about sure tackles. And again, when you're driving on the ball and you got an opportunity to make a play on the guy, you got to make that tackle there.
You have to make that tackle.
That right foot, you can see it's on the line right there. It was out.
Tommy Mister, 26. That tackle has got to be made. You're absolutely right. They're fortunate that he stepped out of bounds. Otherwise, it's first down. Third down and 3. This time Santa Catarina keeps it, and that late push will net him another first down out to the 34-yard line.
Well, as long as I can remember, the strength of Cornhusker teams was a physicalness of their fronts. And again, the push up front, this is NIU just pushing the Cornhuskers back a little bit there, Coach.
No question. And what you're seeing is they have a real plan for short yardage. You saw 2 Wildcats. You saw I mean, the way they approach third down is they're ready to make those calls.
Nice. Right then, the quick look-in pattern for DJ Brown. Ahead for another first down to the 46.
They're trying to go pace and tempo real quick, but the route from the slot position is going to be quick and hard hitting inside. You can see just a little soft zone. Sitting down, unbalanced look now.
Unbalanced.
But find that little void spot for plus yardage.
Marcus Jones checks in at running back. First down. See the clock now at 5:08 and ticking. Northern Illinois could have very easily been in position to get a 3-touchdown lead, but fortunately for Nebraska, they got a reverse on a fumble recovery and return. Now they get another break. A bad snap, and it's run down by Jones. I don't know that Santa Catarina was ready for that snap when it happened. He seems surprised. That's a big loss.
A big loss at this time. That it puts them in a position now where they're not, the chains just aren't moving.
You can see his eyes are not on the ball. The ball comes out, and his eyes are actually fixed to the opposite side of the unbalanced look. And Coach referenced that it was an unbalanced look. You can see Santa Catarina's eyes was not even focused on the football. But that's twice, Coach, that they've had an unbalanced look and was not able to execute to the side where they created the advantage.
Correct.
Loss of 13 on the play. 2nd and 23, and a timeout will be taken by Rod Carey. Northern Illinois with a 2-touchdown lead, trying to get to the break. In good shape on the road in Lincoln.
Coming up on the State Farm halftime, number 7 Michigan tries to slow down the Air Force ground attack. Number 9 Oklahoma State with their first road game of the season at Pitt. And the Josh Rosen passing game tour takes over Memphis. Tim Spencer, Coach, back to you guys.
All right, Rob, thank you. Here in Lincoln, where the Cornhuskers need to get it back and get something done before halftime. Northern Illinois has been controlling things. You can make a case that Nebraska is fortunate to only be down 14. 2nd and 23.
That's an unbalanced look. Coach is saying you've got more to the right than you do to the left.
And that ball is batted down. Good pressure from the interior. Davis, Khalil Davis, that's the twin brother of Carlos. 94 and 96, those two brothers.
Davis got that left paw up despite being held on that play. Just, again, there are a lot of ways to affect the quarterback. If you can't get to him, get your hand in his face, redirect that ball.
That unbalanced has been gone to, based on the fact that 3 receivers to that side, they had 5 defenders back into the boundary, and the opportunity for those 3 receivers to find some space.
This is an offense not built for 3rd and long, and you see right here. Khalil Davis again with the penetration. He started it, and he had help from his brother Carlos and many other red shirts.
Well, they didn't need the game and deal on this one, Coach. This is just winning at the line of scrimmage. He looked for a moment like Ndamukong Suh. Disruption on the inside of that line, number 94. Watch him come up the field underneath here and here on the inside. He just beat his man right over his face. That's just great interior football.
There's a little more intensity for some reason going on with that defense right now.
Matt Ferens will punt it away, number 36. And the timeout's being taken by Nebraska. Or excuse me, Northern Illinois.
Timeout, Northern Illinois. 2nd timeout of the half. This will be a 30-second timeout.
It looked like they had an alignment issue there. Well, wake up and start your weekdays with First Things First. Join Chris Carter, Nick Wright, and Jenna Wolf for the best morning sports show on television, First Things First. That's weekday mornings at 6:30 Eastern on FS1. Your morning routine just got a whole lot more fun. This is a very important sequence coming up for Nebraska. You can see the faithful. I think they're some of the greatest fans in the history of the college game here in Lincoln. Think about all those sellouts. They've not been in title contention since 1999 here. DeMornay Pearsonell has had some issues fielding punts today and decision making. This one is low off the side of the foot, and I think he touched that one. He better get on it. He better get on it, and he does at the 20. It has been an adventure every time for DeMornay. 52 yards on that boot, and another near turnover by Nebraska.
Seating the football properly, getting the right bounce on it. It's really, really tough to read a ball. It's oblong, and it could go any direction. You've got to be aware of it. Put your body between the ball and the sideline so that if it bounces anywhere, it's going to go to the short side of the field.
Look at this one. This one cost him field position right here.
Indeed, it cost him field position, being able to make the decision, and then, of course, here trying to catch it backed up. Poor decision making in this game can flip the field in an instant. And right now, when you're down like this, you can ill afford to have poor decisions.
So with the ball at the 20-yard line and 3 and change remaining, the Cornhuskers take over, and Tanner Lee has been bruised, battered, and picked. That look in is caught. Look at DeMornay. He's got big play capability, gets it out to the 34-yard line.
Nice snatch with his hands, turns, and really is an immediate run after catch guy.
Mike Kelty Williams, though, with a nice job of spinning it around and grabbing him and bringing him down.
Well, they're sure tackling, aren't they?
They are Johnny on the spot, man, and that's where the athleticism comes into play.
2 back.
Old school.
Back in the game.
Yeah, that looks like a Les Miles formation.
Tom Rathman and
not a bad idea.
McNitt, the fullback, and they give it to Wilbon. And McHale is on his way. He gets it down all the way to the 40-yard line of Northern Illinois. Albert Smalls with a saving tackle. Les, I want to know, as you see this hole, this is exactly what you want. I want to know what you're thinking as a coach. You want to tell your team about this drive and the second half.
Gotcha. The adjustment of that play, personally, allows the big guys to line up on the small guys because there's no zone. You can just fan it out, isolate one of them with your fullback, and then now that ball goes down the field.
Inside play kind of looked like that old counter tray.
Wilbon again dots the eye. McNitt, the up back, play fake.
Good play fake.
And that cross is incomplete. Stanley Morgan, the intended receiver, right in front of Albert Smalls yet again. They had a bit of a come-to-Jesus conversation, as coaches like to call it, at halftime in Eugene last week, and it worked. They may have to have it again here. What do you think Mike Riley's got in mind?
Mike Riley's really talking about making adjustments, and then really we're talking about going out in the second half and playing for victory. The opportunity to feel good when we leave the stadium.
Now Wilbon is the lone setback with Spielman in motion.
Oh my
gosh, up the middle.
Just right by the guy.
Right by the center, absolutely. No one blocked. As Allen came through, I mean, no one was there.
Farniak, come on, big boy. Take some strides inside and stay on.
Got to look at Farniak here on the outside. He gets that left leg in there.
Is an incomplete forward pass. 3rd down.
That Farniak did not know whom to block.
Yeah, well,
he had two options, and he missed both.
It was no option, though, because you get the inside of the 2 threats. And particularly if it's a small one, it's an assignment bus. But Farniak's responsibility, if there are 2 threats there, he's got to get the innermost unless that's left for the back.
3rd and 10, and they've been woeful on 3rd downs. This one is caught. DeMornay Pearsonell inside the 30, down to the 27. And now 2 make it 3 out of 8 on 3rd down conversions. Mike Kelty Williams, a 14-yard pickup.
Execution in the great route on the natural pick underneath. Jones is in his hip pocket, but he does a nice job of avoiding that and then putting little afterburners on after he seats the ball. L does a nice job. Again, I'm nitpicking, but guys, you got to put that hand in the opposite direction so you can protect it, remove all doubt in terms of losing the football.
On 1st
Ran
down.
the dog. Right up the gut again.
Yep, to the 20. There's an old saying, right, Les? Big man on big man, and if your guys are larger, you're generally going to win.
Yeah, big man on small man is the advantage that we're looking at right now. and they've decided to go back with that 2-back set some.
Yeah, so all those tag blocks coming up there, working with the guard initially, and then no responsibility. You can get up to that next level, and a big, heavy lineman on a linebacker is a nice matchup to have.
McNitt made a great block, 41, the fullback. Spring that play for 7 yards. Now Tanner Lee with time. Over the middle into double coverage incomplete.
Come on now, here we go.
Stanley Morgan, the intended receiver. Albert Smalls back there with him. May have tipped it, and now Morgan is down.
I can't ill afford to have your top offensive target and weapon down.
Yeah, remember they're already without Trey Bryant. Lost at least for this week, maybe next. before they can get him back. But Stanley, the junior from New Orleans, San Augustine High, this is a game breaker we're talking about. They're going to need him. They're going to need him in the second half. This is a guy that was a teammate of Leonard Fournette, your player at LSU, Les.
Yeah, we looked at him. We thought he was a really special receiver, guy that had physicality, and we felt like certainly he would mature and be a great receiver.
It's kind of hard to see exactly what happened when he went down on that play, but I think he's going to be able to walk that off. But just as Nebraska's starting to get some offense going with that downhill eye-back, reminiscent of the 90s and 80s even.
That's right.
Third down and 3. Lee out of the shotgun, pressure on the edge again. That should have been called. Spielman did not come up with that one, and I'm not sure that he shouldn't have grabbed that one. He may have been led a bit because of the pressure, but that looked catchable. Kyle Pugh, 57, with the pressure. This should be caught.
All 218 pounds of him. Again, that was it, Tim. Affected by number 57, Kyle Pugh came from that outside, at my position, actually. They moved him outside, and he was hell-bent for election. He just waylaid it.
Here we go. Fourth down. They converted every one of them against Oregon. They were very successful on fourth down last week in the second half. Let's see what they do here.
Let's see what they do with this tight end.
Hoppus, 88. Lee, there it is. They flood it. Wilbon's got a first down.
Nice job. Nice job. They had that one greased up for one of the 4-pound opportunities, I promise you there.
Well, the guy who was injured on the previous play, Stanley Morgan Jr., playing a key role in the pick on the isolation. It was a natural kind of pick, Coach. It wasn't egregious, but you could see him working up there. That gave the cushion that he needed.
He caught the ball behind the line of scrimmage, so he was allowed to stick his hands out and block.
So you can see it right here. He can say that he was working up through that other guy, and that's part of the art of running that play.
First and goal from the 9. Pressure again. That's the issue with Tanner Lee. He is a bit of a statue in that pocket. Ben Leroy, 99, comes in to get him. And if you can get the pressure, he is going to go down because he can't really run the football.
Ben Leroy is looping, Coach. He had to kind of, it wasn't a game or deal. He was working with somebody opposite. He just looped around and he was unaccounted for and came in there and just put that helmet right on the quarterback.
They need him to get rid of the ball and quickly. Second and goal. Steps up this time, looking long.
We should. Yeah. Wait a minute. Are you kidding me?
No flag. Mykelti Williams back there. DeMornay Pearsonell, the intended receiver. Yeah, I'm with you. Now listen, they're allowing a lot of jousting, but this seemed to be obvious to me.
Yeah, he's in his chest. He's laid lateral in his chest. No, wait a minute. Did he turn back? Did he turn back to the ball?
Well, if McKelty wasn't turned back to the ball, he's probably going to get the benefit of the doubt.
That's correct.
But it was hard to tell whether or not he was trying to eye the ball.
Guys, that should be interference in the ball at the 2-yard line. Third and goal, time winding down in this half. Lee again, underneath the Wilbon stop. How good are those corners and linebackers in coming up and making short tackles in space? Bobby Jones does it again.
Bobby Jones is there. Then Williams, though, also helping out on that play, Tim. So in successive plays, Williams playing deep on one, and then, of course, playing the run or the forces. This is an extension.
Les, I got to tell you, it's fourth down. They've got to probably look for 3 here. But give me your – this is another – I think it's the biggest situation that the college game faces is determining – what constitutes interference both offensively and defensively in college football. I think
with his face turned towards the receiver, there's no question it's interference.
Yeah.
There's no question. It's basically your face guard, but then you're taking your body into the receiver's body, and that, to me, is an easy call.
Yeah, no question. And I think it's a bigger issue in the college game than the pro game, without a doubt.
Let me ask you, does it make a difference that L. Pearson actually fell down? And if I'm tracking the guy and I see him fall and I turn back to locate the ball.
Not in that situation. There were three guys in his face, and none of them made a play on the ball. But by the way, coming up on the State Farm halftime, Rob Stone, Dave Wanstedt, Matt Leinart, and Robert Smith will be bringing you up to date on everything going on. Those Cowboys really looking strong. Mason Rudolph just needs a bigger stage, and he's going to get more Heisman hype to go along with Darnold and Mayfield and Lamar Jackson. Drew Brown will try this kick. And blocked. It's been all Northern Illinois this entire first half. Problems continue for Nebraska. Ben Leroy, number 99, with the penetration to make the play.
Number 99, Big Ben Leroy, 280 pounds. You can see him get that hand up inside. There he is, that right paw.
The kick needed to come up quicker.
All right. At halftime, they are stunned and even booing, and that doesn't happen much here. Right now, let's lead you to Rob Stone in Los Angeles for the State Farm halftime show.
First time Nebraska's been shut out in the first half at home since 2007. Yes, the Boo Birds are out right now in Lincoln. We welcome you to the State Farm FS1 College Football Halftime Show. Nebraska continuing this first half struggle trend. Remember, last week in Eugene gave up 409 yards and 42 points in the first half. Turnovers, scoreboard troubles continuing today at home. Rob, Robert, Matt, Coach here in studio with you. Let's get right to our State Farm most valuable possession. Let me guess. Pick six issues, Tanner Lee?
A couple, yeah. No, it was this was the first series of the game, guys, and this is a box count. That linebacker, Tanner Lee has to read that. If the linebacker stays on that slot receiver, I think you hand the ball off. Now the corner made a great play, results in a touchdown. Here the offensive lineman gets beat, and if you're the quarterback, when you feel that that pressure, just eat it. Take the sack, eat it, and live on to play the next down. You cannot force the ball up there. That's 6 picks in 2.5 games for Tanner Lee, and we talked about the consistency before the game. He's got to do a better job, and that offensive line has to do a better job protecting him.
You know, talking with Kevin Kane, the defensive coordinator in Northern Illinois, he talked about how if they could get him in a passing situation, just bring the pressure inside on Tanner Lee, because he's not going to run. And on that second interception, you're going to see right there, you see Draquan Brown comes up underneath the tackle right here and gets the hit on him. But the impressive thing to me on this, there's the hit. He came underneath the tackle. Watch, this is zone coverage right here. Right, they see the yellow line? That's where the sticks are. They know where they got to get for the first down. And the defensive backs drop back. They cover the guy in their zone, but they keep their eyes on the quarterback. So when the ball's thrown, they can get a break on the ball. That's good coaching. It really is. I mean, that's a sound defensive play right there.
And Nebraska just seems to be in complete disarray. They seem to have no offensive identity at all. And when they did make the decision to line up in two tights, try and run the ball, you get a fumble right there from the running back, Wilbon. You see right here, they come up to the line of scrimmage, don't seem to know what formation they're supposed to be in, force a timeout there. Here, they're trying to do too much. Again, trying to get all these crazy formations. You talk about that offensive line, not just on the inside, but on the outside. Got an injury at the right tackle spot. David Knevel was out. You got a redshirt freshman here in at that right tackle spot, had the blocked field goal at the end. They seem like they have absolutely no idea what they're supposed to do from an offensive identity standpoint, from a play calling standpoint, from a coaching standpoint. They're a complete mess.
Coach, locker room, are you talking to Tanner Lee and you're also talking to the backup right now?
Well, you have to. I mean, you know why? The biggest reason, if you're a head coach and you're in that situation, pretty soon the players start looking at you and saying, Coach, are you giving us the best chance to win? You know, so if he makes a change right now, even though he might not feel, you know, that this kid is more talented or more ready to play, you got to do something to keep your team. Hey, you lose games, but you don't lose the team. That's something you learn real quick in coaching.
Well, you heard Les Miles, though, talking about the defense. And look, the black shirts moniker, that's really for the defense, the starting defensive players. They are playing better defensively. Yeah. Maybe some of that emotion that they have defensively will ignite this team offensively in the second half.
Yep. A lot to get to coming up at the break. An unexpected field goal fest in Ann Arbor. And wait till you hear a certain stat from the Air Force offensive stat sheet. Plus, we're going to do our part to get the Mason Rudolph Heisman train on track. The Cowboy Slinger, sorry, Coach, putting holes in the Pittsburgh D all day long.
Welcome back to the State Farm FS1 College Football Halftime Show.
Tanner Lee's first pick six of the afternoon. He has now thrown 6 interceptions in the last 6 quarters. Huskies in Lincoln shutting out the Cornhuskers 14-0. Next week over on Fox, number 7 Michigan at Purdue. Today they hosted the air attack of Air Force. At the break, the Falcons have attempted 0 passes.
They attempted one. They pulled back and just didn't throw it.
That's what we're calling an attempt? All right. Chris Evans fumbles it. Second quarter, 3-3. Wilton Spate.
Guys, a lot of Michigan's offense in the red zone, they're struggling. 1 touchdown and 8 red zone trips on the season.
Yikes. You know who scores in the red zone? You know who scores wherever he is? Mason Rudolph. Number 9, Oklahoma State. The national title is going to go through the state of Oklahoma, folks. Bedlam, November 4th on the Fox Sports Networks.
You know, that's one negative that people talk about is his lack of athletic ability. Looked pretty good to me there, Matty.
Oh, yeah.
I'm smelling a road trip. I'm smelling a road trip.
And Marcel Aitman, back from an injury from a year ago, 6'3", does a great job getting off of the line, catching the ball down the field and spinning for a big guy.
Rudolph, 5 touchdown passes already. Josh Rosen knows how to throw touchdowns. He's 12 of 21, 151, that score. Bruins up 17-7, but here comes Memphis. An early start in Memphis. Riley Ferguson, a little screen. Patrick Taylor, 47 yards.
That's a nice, misdirection play. Obviously, they got UCLA's defense completely going to the left and come back with a little quick screen to the right. Nice time play.
Nobody interested in trying to tackle there on that defense.
This just moments ago, Ferguson.
Another screen.
Tony Pollard, 42 yards, touchdown. Memphis up 20-17 right now.
No upset.
Now, this is shaping up to be really the year of the quarterback. Mason Rudolph needs to be discussed as one of the elite in that category.
He does, and Tim Brando said it perfectly at the end. He hasn't had the center stage yet. You know, he hasn't had that moment. He's been great his whole career. And this year, the first 2 games, they sleptwalk through. And now on the road against Pitt, people are starting to realize how special this quarterback is. You go back to his last 12 games, 32 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. And I'm not sure there's more of a quarterback that's more in command of their offense this year than Mason Rudolph. And we know he has weapons at his disposal. He's got a run game that's playing really, really well. But this guy, I mean, he's incredible. And he may not have that opportunity until he's on the road at West Virginia later in the season or against Oklahoma. But this guy has to be considered in the Heisman race, and this team has to be taken seriously.
Yeah, and I think the offensive balance.
There you go.
It's not really there. It's not really there today, just because it hasn't had to be. Mason Rudolph was thrown for 423 yards, but you talk about all of the weapons at his disposal.
Yeah.
One of the weapons in the backfield, you talk about Hill. He's done a great job. Justice Hill, the running back, last year as a true freshman, exploded onto the scene. Today, he's only had to carry the ball 11 times, but he has 91 yards. You can see he's very compact, low to the ground, does a nice job following his blockers, keeping his eyes downfield. He's very good at that second and third level of the defense, turning those 10-yarders into 20, 30-yard runs. That's going to be important as they move into Big 12 play.
Yeah, you know, the thing I'm looking at Oklahoma State's defense. You know, they don't have a whole lot of household names. You know, no one's talking about them. It's all on the offense. But at the end of the day, they get lined up. They've got a lot of speed on defense. They don't make many mistakes out there. And they're kind of a bend but don't break defense, which is good enough when you have an offense like this that can score so quick. So I think they do have a good combination where they complement each other.
Rudolph, 33 touchdown passes, just 2 interceptions over the course of his last 12 games. Pittsburgh just scored, though, Coach. So hang on, maybe the comeback's
I coached at Oklahoma State.
I know you did, but I know where your blood. Hey, you coached there too. You coached at USC as well. We're going to talk USC and Texas later tonight on Fox when we return.
Welcome back to the State Farm FS1 College Football Halftime Show.
Great one later tonight from the sold-out Coliseum, Texas, USC. Trojans back up to number 4. Robert, what are you looking for in that one?
Well, I want to see this Texas run defense. How do they deal with that 2-headed monster that you have at USC with the running backs with Carr and Jones? Remember, in the opener against Maryland, Texas gave up 263 yards rushing. So it's going to be a real heavy task for them trying to stop those 2 guys who are so explosive and can create big plays at any minute.
Yeah, you know what? Emotionally, it's going to be, we know how big a game Stanford is, right? Last week for USC. So the leadership of this team and Clay Helton's going to be called on a little bit. He better get his team up and be ready for this challenge against Texas.
Coach, pack your bags. We're about to hit the road, baby.
I'm going, baby.
We're hitting the highway. We're heading to the Coliseum. But first, we still have the second half from Lincoln. Nebraska in a 14-point hole.
Take a Linus helicopter.
Oh, zing!
The last time Nebraska went scoreless in the first half was 17-0 Michigan State on October 4th of 2014. Look at that story in their games thus far this year. Minus 41 in scoring first half, but plus 27 in the second. Tim Brando, Les Miles, Spencer Tillman. But even with those numbers ringing true to this point, Spencer, they've got a whole lot of issues to deal with coming into this half.
Coach, I've seen it before, and you've seen it before. Execution is kind of like a virus, right? It affects one part of the game, special teams here, but it has started to spread on the offensive side of the ball, the execution, and it seemed like it just never would stop, would it?
No question. The initial drive looked really good. Looked like Tanner Lee was off to a great start. McHale was Wilbon was making some nice runs, and then now they have to deal with the pick six, and now things seems to unravel. You had a blocked field goal. You have punt guys fielding punts poorly, and guys fielding kickoffs poorly. So
a little bit of jumping and running, trying to get the guys going.
What's got to happen is they have to get comfortable, know who they are, and come back inside the stadium and beat somebody's behind.
It is about emotion, and they were without it from the moment the game kicked off. The tepid return, almost a real problem from the very beginning of the game. Then that quality drive that ended in the pick six. Drew Brown, who had his field goal attempt blocked to close the half, kicks it through for the touchback. Northern Illinois will have it. Let's go down to Holly Saunders.
Yes, Tim, well, Coach Riley briskly walked to the locker room at halftime, and he said that they feel fortunate to only be down 14 points as shoddily as they played this first half. He said it's very simple. We need to get back to basics. Wouldn't give me many details, but as for Coach Carey, his team is halfway to knocking off yet another Big Ten program. I said, do you have any concerns with Nebraska being a second half team? He said, hey, Holly, I'm concerned with them being a first half team too, but we're confident and the momentum's in our favor right now, Tim.
All right, 1st and 10, Holly, from the 25-yard line for Northern Illinois as we begin the second half. Fake the jet sweep and go with Huff right up the middle. He had a very good start in the first quarter, and he was spelled by both Jones and Mister. That's Chris Webber with the tackle after a 4-yard gain.
Makes a nice cut behind the center, nice inside run. This is a big back. This is a 220-plus pound back, and a guy that can take take contact and come out the other side.
Christian Blake, the go-to receiver, is in the slot to the top of your screen. Santa Catarina decides to usher himself out of bounds after a negligible gain beyond the 30 to the 31-yard line. Will bring up a 2nd down and 4.
Guys, I can't tell you how significant it is for Nebraska on defense to get a stop here. You can see that NIU is moving the ball outside the pocket. They're feeling comfortable. The option to pull it down or pass the ball there is available to them. They've got to show up on defense, does Nebraska. The 2 previous occasions we talked about at the top of the show, when they were within contention at the half, they need to change that quickly here in the 3rd quarter.
On 3rd down and 4. Time for Santa Catarina. The pass thrown behind Shane Wyman, the tight end.
It was man coverage, and he was just coming across the formation wide open.
Yeah, Wyman just needs to handle it. The ball was on his back shoulder, a little bit high, a little bit more athleticism.
Yeah, but as wide open as that is, you tell your quarterback, hey, listen, just lead him, give him a nice soft touch, and that's a completion in the 1st down.
And this is exactly what NIU doesn't want to do, is just give the ball back, stop the clock with the incompletion, and give Nebraska a chance to get back in this game.
Matt Ferens will boot it away. Yamorne Pearsonell is back deep. He's standing inside the Cornhusker 35. High booming punt.
Field the punt.
Has him on his heels, picks it up at the 15.
Here we go.
Did he overrun the coverage? Not so. Well done by Northern Illinois. He gets about 10 yards on that return on a beautiful boot. 52 yards, a 10-yard return. Some pressure on Tanner Lee throughout the first half.
And it was coming from all places, Coach. In the middle, off the edge, on the right side of their tough tackle, Farnick, could not handle the pressure off of the edge. It was early.
It's really coming from our right, excuse me. I mean, Tanner Lee's right. But that's a significant, what they have to do at halftime is, breathe some life into that right side.
Yeah, you're right. Both Farniok and Farmer, and the center problem was there too, with Conrad being hurt and Decker having to come in the game. There were some snaps that were awry that Tanner Lee had to pick up. Jawan Johnson with the stop of Mikhail Wilbon right there, a pickup of a yard. We'll call it 2nd and 9.
Well, now they're playing left-handed a little bit right now. You got to get some points, and Nebraska's a team that wants to play ball control. They've got about 70 snaps a game as the average for them. They're going to have to get a lot more plays off to get back in this game.
Lee on the shallow cross, taken by Stanley Morgan. But again, these DBs, they make quick tackles. They're not missing these guys in space. Kyle Pugh, Jawan Johnson, 57 and 7 collaborate there.
Still, it's nice to see Stanley Morgan back in the fold. I mean, he was a little nicked just before the half, and you see him. He came in for a blocking play. Now he's in for a running play. You figure he's pretty healthy.
Just under 90,000 on hand, 356th consecutive sellout. And they are really quiet now.
Yeah, they're going to push the ball upfield now.
Cover 2.
Lee running out of time.
Oh, no.
Puts it up in the air. That is a dying quail that could be picked off. And it was very fortunate for him that he did get it out of bounds. Albert Smalls was able to come away with it. Sanders, Joe Sanders, number 9, the senior from LaGrange, Georgia, with the heavy heat.
Rod Carey's team is playing so well. I mean, if you just look at them, they've everything that in terms of being sharp and handling their business. They're making tackles. They're getting pressure on the passer. Impressive display thus far with the Northern Illinois club.
Lightborn with the boot. Jalen Embry is back deep. He's got room this time. Plenty of room. And a nice convergence there late by Nebraska. The fumble came late. I think they'll rule him down at the point of attack at the 33-yard line. They will. A big hit, though, by Colin Miller, redshirt freshman linebacker. 51-yard boot, 12-yard return. The Huskies are having their way against the Huskers here in the third. FS1 College Football is sponsored by the Spark Cash Card from Capital One. Earn unlimited 2% cash back. What's in your wallet? It's been a cloudy, partly cloudy, sunny, and rainy day at different times this morning and this afternoon here in Lincoln. And right now, it's the Huskies raining down on Nebraska here in Lincoln. And here's Santa Catarina. Boy, he's nifty back there. He saw he had nothing and managed to get beyond his line of scrimmage. Luke Gifford, number 12, stopped him. They'll rule him back to the line of scrimmage, and that's it.
Well, the Huskers content to play zone. They dropped 8 that time, and I believe the coverage is what gave Santa Catarina some difficulty in discerning exactly where to go with the football. Again, a great defensive call, but at some point you wonder, Coach, how aggressive that Nebraska has to be to get back in this.
They got plenty of time. It's a full two-quarter game at this point.
That was a knee on the ground after the quick curl by Christian Blake. He gets about 4 on it.
If they play the style of football that you would expect them to play sharp in special teams, offense and defense, they'll have plenty of time to get back. At this point, I don't think they have to pressure necessarily.
3rd down and 6. Crowd trying to get behind what they hope will turn out to be black shirts again. And the great history and tradition of Nebraska defense. Now being authored by Bob Diaco, the new defensive coordinator and former head coach. Santa Catarina in trouble, and down he goes. There's Diaco. He's got to be happy with that performance. And really, overall, his first half play was pretty good.
Luke Gifford, number 12, was dialing up the pressure coming from the backside, and it was a great defensive call. You can see here's Luke coming from the outside here, gets by the tackle on the left side, and just dips that shoulder underneath and gets in there. And Coach Riley loving that. They need a couple of more of those, Coach, to get back in this one.
DeMornay Pearsonell awaits the punt of Matt Ferenz. He'll get it off about his 18-yard line. Again, backing up, DeMornay Pearsonell, but he'll take it. Off he goes.
Yeah.
And there's a block in the back.
Yeah, block in the back.
And that'll set him back. He did not go out of bounds. He's still up. And finally, Burrows down at the 45, but they'll bring this back. 44 yards, 17 yards on the return, but it will be nullified.
As we began, guys, in the second half, it was about execution. It began in the special teams game, kick game, on offense to be sure with the interceptions and the pressures, and it again extends to the early
During the
part.
return, holding, number 36 of the return team. 10 yards from the spot of the foul. First down, Nebraska. Timeout.
You know, that's an extension of the first half. What you would like to see is a penalty-free second half and the opportunity to play a very, very tight game.
FS1 College Football is presented by Dave and Buster's. That's the Nebraska Football Wall of Fame.
Dino Stuycooler.
Yeah, they need a few more of those guys here in this second half. But listen, this is where stars are born, and they've hung their hat on this transfer. Tanner Lee from Tulane, who got a second year of eligibility because of a rare utilized rule within compliance. This is a quick pass to his tight end, Tyler Hoppus, number 88, the senior from Lincoln. Ahead for 6 yards. It will be second down and 4. The time is now for this young man. He's, in my opinion, fellas, reached the summit. This program is all about him. He knew that when he came here. And now at home and with Mike Riley's support, with all the picks and 2 pick sixes in this game, it's time for him to really lead this team. Mikhail Wilbon in the backfield.
They're running that draw again. Okay. That's the third time that they've done it, and it is also the only 3 plays that they've run on 2-back.
I think they're trying to dial up some plays that work good against this aggressive defense, smaller but aggressive front, and they may catch him on a couple of times. But at some point, Coach, I understand the protection has been an issue. They've got to find a way to advance the ball up the field, and that means the offensive line has got to protect long enough for Tanner Lee to make that completion.
Divine Ozigbo is in for the first time, number 22, the junior. And here's Lee.
There you go.
That pass is knocked away. That's great coverage. Safety help coming from Mikhail Allen, number 20. Pass was intended for Hoppus, and it's a 3-and-out for Nebraska. This is a Northern Illinois defense that's flying to the football.
Yeah, Jalen Embry, number 3, was the one that stepped up, but I like the idea. I know it probably made you shiver, Coach, when you see trying to get it through that tight window there. Yeah. That's just a great play on the back end there. Mikhail Allen also involved in it, but between those two, I like the idea of trying to push the ball down the field. You just got to make better decisions.
Lightborn to boot it away. Low line driver. Embry. Oh, he touched it. That ball is live. It's muffed, and it's recovered. It's still on the loose. No. Back at the 2. Maybe the 1. Nebraska should have it, and they do. Markel Dismuke, number 19, comes away with it.
Correct.
You cannot advance it because it's muffed, but Dismuke stayed with it, and this is the biggest break of the game for the Huskers.
The ball was muffed by the receiver team, recovered by the kicking team. First down, Nebraska.
Special teams, Embry is trying to make it. He gets his left foot caught in the turf. The turf monster pulls him down. He can only reach, but he touches the ball. That means it's live. Nebraska's all over it now. They have a chance to create an inflection point here. It can go in their direction. They got to run the football, Coach. Run the football.
No question. Let's get down in there and hey, two carries it should score.
Wilbon stopped in his track. I want you to take a look at this. Very rarely do you see guys in a muff situation, a guy that has a chance to recover the fumble. You can't advance it, but he does kick the football. Watch number 19, Dismuke. He has it, can't get it, kicks it forward, and then comes away with more yardage, recovering at the 2. That's rare.
I'd like to say he did that intentionally. I think he did try to stick the foot out there, but
no. It's one of those things. He got extra yardage out of it.
No question.
Okay, here we go.
You cannot advance it. Wilbon, lone setback. They lost 2 on that last play. 2nd and goal.
Fullback.
And now there's room. There's room for the quarterback. Touchdown.
Nice shot. They immediately come off of this play onto the fullback, and there was no open guy. It's a nice play action, but it's nice job by the quarterback, kind of manufacturing a nice run.
Kind of play action look, and I think he had man coverage back in, and I think the advantage of that is when everybody's locked up in man, they've got their back turned to you. By the time they can recognize the quarterback is pulling it down, particularly when Tanner Lee is not looking to run the ball initially, I think that helps him out. Great improvised play by Tanner Lee.
Drew Brown with the extra point, and he puts it through. The home team got a break. Boy, did they. In the kicking game, Embry with the touch or the muff, and Dismute with the recovery, and it leads to Tanner Lee, an ad-lib job to remember. And now suddenly the Huskers only down by a touch. Coach Miles in his maiden voyage in television with us today noticed that the band finally got to play.
Yeah, they finally got excited. There was something good for the home team. So you'd hope that this team in red would just now settle down and play best. And really, for Northern Illinois, I hope they continue to play best, because really you want the best team to win.
Northern Illinois has really played at a much higher level for much of this game, but a problem in special teams cost them a touchdown there. Here's Christian Blake with the return. He's ahead to the 25-yard line, and let's get out to Los Angeles right now. Dave and Buster's game break with Greg Wolf.
Tim, thanks. We go to Ann Arbor, number 7, Michigan, in a battle with Air Force. Arian Worthman hits Ronald Cleveland 64 yards. Falcons had just 2 pass attempts in the first half. This is their first completed pass of the game. Wolverines all kinds of trouble in the red zone thanks to a 4th field goal. Michigan leads 19-13 in the 3rd. Back to you guys.
Oh, those military academies early in your schedule.
You have to respect the option. You must train to defeat it.
All those cut blocks that those guys are dealing with. Same will be true for Ohio State later today in the game with Army. That'll be on Fox. Jordan Huff out beyond the 40 to the 42. He ran big in the first half. He's been a solid runner through the course of this game. He's got 18 yards on that carry.
And he broke a tackle right here at the line of scrimmage. It should have been made really by 2 guys.
Cedric King, number 17, was the one that had the first opportunity to get in there. Then Embry followed up.
He's got 81 yards on the day on 7 carries. We've got Marcus Newby down on the field. Again, one of the really strong linebackers. Bob Diaco had to move Luke Gifford to the boundary side. Newby and Gifford, his 2 best to the field. And so he's had to shake things up from a linebacker standpoint. Feels good about Alex Davis. It looked as though he rolled his ankle there and is making his way to the sidelines.
You can see again that ankle when he plants that foot in the ground. Actually, may have happened just before that point, because it's tough to see if he rolled it up on that particular sequence.
That didn't look like
it didn't look like much there.
Well, I know this. I want to get him back out there as quickly as possible.
Well, this puts extra pressure on Aaron Williams, number 24. He's the guy that they put back there, the stalwart, in the wake of all of the injuries.
On first down, little jet sweep action to Blake. Well read by Nebraska. He'll lose yardage here. I see a marker down, too, at the point where he was taken out of bounds.
It's like
an
offside somewhere up front. It looked like the Northern Illinois drew the Nebraska team off.
Both false start would be the call. That's the preliminary indication.
You know, one thing about it is we look at both coaches there, on the head coach Mike Riley, and this NIU team has played very, very clean now. If you remember a couple weeks ago, they had a record 194
illegal
yards.
Formation. More than 4 players in the backfield on the offense. Penalty is declined. 2nd down.
This is a rarely seen call here. Top right is where the location is.
Watch him slip over.
Yeah.
He's got playing with that club on his arm, and
Second down. And 11. Out of the shotgun, quick hitch. It's out to DJ Brown. And he jitterbugs his way beyond the 44 to the 45, so only ahead for 3 yards. They'll be 8 yards shy of a first down. Aaron Williams shoved him out.
This is an extension of their run game. It's very high percentage play. People see that passing, they think automatically you're passing the ball. It's a short gainer. You know, if you can break it, you get man coverage, make a guy miss, then you got a big play on your hands. But it's a high percentage throw.
Unbalanced formation as we saw last, not this time.
Coach is talking about more bodies on this left side.
Pressure inside. Nice. The pass is overthrown. Intended for DJ Brown. It was the pressure that affected that throw, and it was coming right up the gut.
Well, he was working on Aaron Williams. That's the best cover guy in the game right now for Nebraska. The route was there, Coach. He just needed to put him on him. Aaron Williams was in his hip pocket. He got beaten by coverage. You can see 24 in a trail technique, fairly off the ball. The pressure combined with the great route, missed opportunity by NIU.
Gifford was there, and
Devon Webster.
Yep. Akamolodun. Number 91 also. We call him Freedom Ringing. Pick number 91 for Nebraska.
Akamolodun.
Yeah.
Akamolodun too.
Oh, you passed the phonetics test in week 1 last. Nice. A beautiful punt. It rolls down to the 10. A 45-yard boot by Matt Ferens. Little Red and Big Red.
Come out on the field.
Trying to come up with some big-time plays, trailing by 7 midway through the third. FS1 College Football is sponsored by Dave & Buster's. Eat, drink, play, watch only at Dave & Buster's. The legend of Dr. Tom Osborne. And here we are at Tom Osborne Field here in Memorial Stadium. Packed to capacity for a 356th consecutive time. Cornhuskers have it now after the exchange of punt. First down and 10, and that pass incomplete. Probably should have been caught by Stanley Morgan. Well covered, though. I got to tell you, Northern Illinois, that secondary is as legit as any college secondary I've seen this year.
They're athletic, but again, you got to catch that football. It's in your hands. You got to catch it. I do like the idea of Nebraska, even though they're backed up, trying to push the ball downfield. They're just at that point where they've got to make some plays offensively.
And they did it off that two-back play action, so that those linebackers would step up and they wouldn't be underneath coverage.
There's not a lot of separation, though. There really isn't. Wilbon bounces off one. He's got the first down beyond the 20 to the 21-yard line. Kyle Pugh making the tackle. You begin to wonder, as the game goes on, will the bigs of Nebraska wear down the smaller Northern Illinois front?
Well, you better come with a couple of extra bricks in your hind parts, because you know what? Low man is typically going to win, Coach.
Yeah, he put the shoulder down on him and ran right through it.
Yeah, Wilbon delivered the blow that time. First and 10. Trying to go with that sweep into the boundary, and Spielman was stopped in his tracks by Sutton Smith. Listen, I'm looking at Corcoran 12, Sutton Smith 15, playing lights out today. Johnson along with Jones and Pugh, the linebacker. I mean, this has just been a stellar effort for the most part by Northern Illinois defensively all day long. My question is, can they hold up?
Oh, they can hold up. Listen, the Lurie Company, they're going to stay away from that guy, number 19. But Sutton Smith, 15, the opposite side of him, that's just athleticism. These guys can run all day long. I mean, they're not going to be like lizards on a hot rock panting. These guys are built for this type of game, man. They're ready to run.
Second down and 16.
Nice.
Quick crossing pattern.
Yeah,
Stanley Morgan, he's got it for a first down. McKelty Williams brings him down. They'll mark him a yard shy of the first down.
Love this route. Again, you got initial bump. He's passing it off because he knows he's got safety help over the top. And that's when you pop it in that window. Had a similar opportunity 2 plays ago. Should have caught that one. Nebraska's near midfield if they make that previous incompletion.
But they come right back to him to say, come on,
that's right.
Stanley, we need you.
It's really third down and 1. We're showing 3rd and 2, but it's closer to a yard away. They go I formation with McNitt, the up back, 41.
Run where they ain't, Coach. How about right there?
They go with a fullback. He's got the first down.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That is Nebraska football. Give it to that fullback and then let him barrel in there.
It's just like turnaround hand off the Tom Rathman to get those shoulders squared up. Get that little ISO play in the middle, just man blocking up front. Nothing sexy about it. They just get in there and say, my guys are bigger and stronger than your guys are going to push your little behinds back.
As we're coming into the season, let's face it, this is a Nebraska reboot offensively with Tommy Armstrong, a multi-talented, multi-dimensional quarterback. Now you have a prolific passer and Tanner Lee, and they're trying to become a pro-style offense. It's Mike Riley's wheelhouse. Wilbon stopped at the point of attack, may have lost a yard, and let's get back to Los Angeles this game break with Greg Wolf.
All right, Tim, thanks. We go to Memphis. Josh Rosen led the nation, coming in with 9 touchdown passes. He's being outplayed by Riley Ferguson right now. Hits Anthony Miller, 33 yards. Ferguson, 228 yards, 4 touchdowns in the first half. Memphis leads number 25, UCLA, 27-24. Third quarter just underway. Back to you guys.
Talk about a potential time zone hangover for the Bruins, and that's happened before to them. Memphis is also another solid program out of the American Conference.
Oh,
beautiful move by Lee to Morgan, and Stanley Morgan is on his feet, out of bounds at the 40 of NIU.
I thought I was going to have to get a cardiac box up here for Coach. He didn't want him to throw back. Again, it's a Cardinal rule. Very rarely do you throw it back across your body. But because of the pressure, Lee steps up, and he starts to take off, but he pulls it down. That presence of mind to see the open receiver working his way back again was Morgan Jr. He does a nice job of settling so the quarterback can deliver a pass, despite the fact that it was across his body, Coach.
My heart needs to be restarted.
Divine Ozigbo is back in the backfield, and he'll take it.
Go on in there, big fella. Keep moving. Just keep driving. That's it. There you go. Go get you 5 or 7.
There's the old coach coming out. Gets it down to the 31-yard line. By the way, that catch by Morgan gets him over 1,000 in his career.
How about big Gerald Foster, number 67? He's reaching, if blocking around, and he gets upfield. Look at this drive blocking him off the ball. Big back helping him out, 224 pounds. Do the math. You're going to win if you're Nebraska Cornhusker most of the time against the smallish front of NIU.
No question.
Ozigbo again is the setback. Morgan is flanked to the bottom of your screen. Spielman in motion. On 2nd and 2. Stop for basically the line of scrimmage. I don't think you got anything. Kyle Pugh made the tackle. Well, Tanner Lee is here in large measure because of the work of his dad, Philip Lee, who found an item that could be litigated within the NCAA framework of compliance. And he, there you see his wife Kim that's with him, the parents of Tanner Lee. One of the reasons that he has the 2 years of eligibility is because how hard his father worked to make it happen. And a yielding NCAA. They have become better with regard to injuries and the opportunities of players gaining more eligibility. That pass is tipped around dangerously, thrown in the direction of Shawan Lurie, who got his hand on it, number 19, and deflected it away. Pass was intended for Morgan.
Yeah, the ball is clearly tipped here. Again, it's one of those tight windows again. They've thrown a couple of those to Morgan. But, you know, Dad's got to live this out. He's feeling that same pressure you were feeling a little bit a minute ago, Coach.
That's correct. And it's a 4th down and 1. It looks like they're going to go for it. Let's see what they got.
Well, they bring in Spielman and send 3 wide, including the tight end Hoppus, who's in the slot to the left. 4th down and 2. Looking for the quick hitter. There it is. First down. Spielman with the reception.
How important you can turn to a true freshman or even a redshirt freshman and get great production on 4th down. He caught a 4th down play in the second half against Oregon last week. He's doing it again. That's awesome.
JD's got to beat man coverage, and he does that. And again, I think Tanner placing that ball low and away so that he could get it only where he could catch it was outstanding. Again, Spielman paid it off, and Dad says, yeah, you better believe it.
That was good coverage, too.
2 back.
4 for 4 on 4th down this year. The Cornhuskers. 1st and 10. Play fake. That pass is batted down and almost picked by Kyle Pugh. Boy, he got his big mitts on it. Just could not reel it in.
in this time of the game, we need this drive to produce points.
If you're the Nebraska team.
If you're the Nebraska team. At this point in time, if you want a tighter game, you want to see the Nebraska team score as well.
I want everyone at home to know it's his maiden voyage in the booth. His son plays at Nebraska. He's doing the best he can. I just want everyone to know that.
Forgive me, I do have great respect for the Northern Illinois team.
I know you do. I know you do. Wilbon in the backfield. Gets ahead for 2, down to the 20. This will bring up a 3rd down and long situation. 3rd down and 7 for Nebraska.
Now here's an interesting call down here. I mean, I think the book tells you probably need to pass this ball. But if you can move the pocket, they've shown Nebraska has in this series and the previous one, when they move Tanner out a little bit, get man coverage, you can get them running away. On the back end defensively, you may get a big play.
Their score, the Nebraska touchdown, is exactly that. Basically a fullback in the flat and a 7 route, and he ad-libs and scores.
Brian Reimers, number 83, is at the bottom of the screen. Lee over the middle. And it's overthrown for Ketter, 89. Connor Ketter, the senior from Norfolk, Nebraska. Well, you got to think that maybe you just leave your feet for that, don't you? And go and get it.
Yeah, I want you to know that pressure is a fast thing. In other words, he had to let it go early. And
it was coming from the outside, Coach. And again, you got to pay that off for your quarterback. They got pressure, but Connor Ketter's got to lay out for that.
Yeah, he does.
You got to leave your feet.
I agree.
You got to leave your feet. If your hands touch it, that should be touchdown. He knows it.
Big kick.
Drew Brown. This is from 36, and he gets it through the uprights. So the Huskers, with a quality drive under Tanner Lee's tutelage, have cut it to 4. Reminder to start your NFL Sundays an hour earlier with Fox NFL Kickoff. Carissa Thompson, Tony Gonzalez, Dave Wanstead, Colin Coward, Michael Vick, all of them have the latest breaking news and updates that you need to have to start your football Sunday. It's Fox NFL Kickoff tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern. Christian Blake and Jordan Huff will be back deep awaiting the kick from Drew Brown. That was his 50th career field goal, his 301st career points that he put through. And you're right, Les, that was a field goal try that was blocked at the end of the half. It was more on him than anything else. And, you know, that had to be some redemption for him, because they rely a lot on this young man. He's on the Groza award list, hit a 51-yarder against Purdue last year.
And that shows you what a little momentum will do. Kicks it dang near and stands.
So it's a touchback. That is a true weapon, and yeah, he got a little bit of a home run on that kick. Every guy that kicks it wants to get a touchback. It's a true weapon in this game.
You know, Coach makes a great point, Tim, about how you can tell the disposition of a team. That looks nondescript, but to drive that ball out of the end zone, that kid's got a little extra fire in him because they just got points on the board. It makes a significant difference, and you're always looking for any indicator to light a fire under your team.
And your leadership on defense knows, hey, listen, we got a great break for the first time in the first half since the first half.
Let's see if Rod Carey's team can answer. Well, this guy has been money all day. Huff ahead for 5 on first down. He's been good for about 5 to 6 every time he's gotten a crack. Dedrick Young, the second, the junior from Peoria, Arizona, came up with a tackle. We've played 3. It's setting up for a quality finish. The upstarts from the MAC on the attack. But Nebraska, Big Red, saying they're not dead. It's on FS1. It's early, and America knows about it right now. Carey's team needing to answer, and you see the score by quarter, and yet again, a flurry in the second half coming from Nebraska. They shut out the Ducks in Eugene when they were down 28 at the break. Down 14. They've outscored the Huskies from DeKalb, Illinois by 10 through at least the third quarter. Here's Jordan Huff again. He's in all kinds of trouble behind the line of scrimmage. Great penetration that time from Nebraska. And there was a lot of help coming from Antonio Reed, 25, the strong side safety, who's getting a lot more playing time today.
Yeah, the junior out of Memphis really stuck his head in there. You can see him, number 25, coming there and just knocking back off the football and then getting the second effort, coach, to seal the deal. Tremendous defensive stop by Antonio Reed.
Very much a black shirt play there. Third down. Northern Illinois with only 116 total yards offensively. Huff's gotten most of it. Santa Catarina is sacked. First to get there, Khalil Davis, 94.
Well, they had a major pressure look. As many as 5 are legitimate. It only takes 5 to constitute a blitz. And I think they brought more than 5 in that time. Coach Davis, chief among them, led the charge.
I worked with the defensive coordinator once that said you earn third downs, and then when you earn them, you bring them. And then that was the both ends went underneath 3 techniques and filled both A gaps. It was a really nicely conceived dunk.
There was a great concealed, delayed blitz, if you will.
So after 116 total yards, that sack of 6 means 110 total given up by Bob Diaco's defense. DeMornay personnel brings it in. Trying to get through a small crack, gets it up to the 38-yard line, and that's where the Huskers take over, 1st and 10. Well, they got a twin combination of Khalil and Carlos. This time it's Khalil reeling in Santa Catarina. FS1 College Football is presented by Dave & Buster's. The Cornhuskers of Nebraska, trailing by 14 at the break, have clawed to within 4. As you look at the game summary, 2 pick sixes, the real story. The NIU defense has been really solid all day, but let's give Bob Diaco's defense a lot of credit. They're now going into what would be the 6th consecutive quarter, their defense not yielding a point to the opposition. As we begin here this series, and there's a great quick pass to Morgan. Stanley Morgan finally run down inside the 45 at the 42.
Yeah, they're picking on Albert Smalls, the corner over there, opposite of Sean Lurie. Great decision if you're going to throw it, and I like the aggressiveness.
Oh, it's tipped.
The ball is tipped, but it's handled. Again, you can see the concentration on the ball. When it's redirected like that, Morgan Stanley Jr. goes down and picks that ball off the carpet almost and advances the ball confidently.
Joe Sanders tipped that, number 9, the senior. You gave Morgan Stanley a commercial there, did you? I love it. Mikhail Wilbon is in the backfield. Play fake. Lee.
Double move.
On the fly. Your double move.
Yeah. Got to catch it, though.
He did not have control, and it's out of bounds. Incomplete. Mykelti Williams was over there to provide the coverage.
Let's see if this is really a double move. We just went to the back end of it.
Great job of locating the ball, though, to kind of fend off any threat of a flag being called.
Good coverage, though. I'm telling you, these guys have been solid. That's Mykelti Williams, number 8, the redshirt sophomore out of Notre Dame High in Indianapolis. Went to Iowa Western before transferring in. These kids from Northern Illinois have been stout defensively. Wilbon corralled inside the 40 at the 37-yard line. Wrapped up by Bobby Jones, who's been all over the place today. Had a career 16-tackle game against Boston College in the opener. A game NIU had a real chance in.
Nice job by that center in this play. He jumps on that nose tackle, stays with him all the way to the outside, and where that cut was made, he was still blocking that nose tackle.
20 carries, 78 yards for Wilbon. They go empty now with Wilbon moving into the slot left. Now he moves back into the backfield. So he'll help with protection here. Lee with time. It's right there for Spielman. J.D.
Here we go.
Only a couple of yards away from a TD.
Nice pass, nice reception. Threw it exactly where he needed to throw it. And now they have possession down the 2-yard line, and now it's time to.
The triangle of the coverage there with Allen playing the safety spot to put the ball over the top of the underneath coverage and just in front of the safety. Well, that's deft precision there, and that's what Penalty brings to this Nebraska offense.
22 of 40 now in the air for 263. Wilbon dots the I. McHale's got it, and he burrows in. Are they going to give it to him?
Throw him up, big boy.
Touchdown.
Throw him up. Now, a deep breath is being taken by the guys that wear the dark red today.
D. Brown comes in for the extra point. Watch this extra effort and push.
You might could make the argument that that right knee.
Yeah, and I guarantee you they're taking a look.
Take a look at
that. Yeah, every score they take a look.
Yeah, unfortunately, this right here, Coach.
The ruling on the field of a touchdown is under further review.
I think this one may be overturned because our angle here is pretty solid with our cart camera down the line. Irrefutable video evidence, indisputable. It's got to be there, and you'll see very quickly Ken Kester is on the line, our replay official, spending some time with the white hat, Ron Hudson.
You're going to take a look at the right knee, and again, we can slow it down and just once he gets through that little trash and you advance it a little bit more, you can see right about.
Yeah, I agree.
You've got to remember where the ball is, though, as he's going down. Everyone's looking at his tush, and they're looking at his knee, but where the ball is when he goes down.
Right. And I don't think the tip of the ball had pierced the front of the.
Now this angle, this angle is not irrefutable.
Yeah, it's
the other one from our cart camera that is.
Yeah, that's short. We would think it was short of the goal line. It's just. So.
Mike Pereira is back in Los Angeles, and he can help us out with this. Mike?
Well, I learned one thing last time. I'm not going to disagree with Les Miles, so I'm going to go with Les on this one. Great shot by Jake Jolivet and his crew in the truck. This is the shot they work off right there, and when that right hip is on the ground, the ball's in his left hand, and so to me, you're going to put this down short.
Okay. Mike has learned already in your maiden voyage. How about that? That's when you know that Pereira is a grizzled veteran.
When he sends out those little views of penalties, I watch every one.
I know you do. And we all do.
Mike's the best.
It's like 15 minutes of must-see TV for us.
Right. The ball carrier's hip was down, and the ball was at the half-yard line. It'll be second down at the half-yard line.
And I got to tell you, we were able to blow up that picture for you in 4K so you could see it even closer. And Mitch Riggin, our director, had it for you. And a lot of times, it's very important that people understand that you got to have the tools and the technology to give the replay officials the necessary evidence for it to be indisputable. And in that case, it was. Second and goal. I formation again with Wilbon dotting it. It's Lee keeping it, and they give him the touchdown. All 6'5" of him stretched out. That's some height advantage that he's got. So he's got a couple of rushing touchdowns, and that gives the Cornhuskers their first lead of the day.
Now all of a sudden, this game taking on the historical tone of previous matchups between the two. This is just old school football. On the second effort, the nose of the ball crosses the line. Nothing irrefutable about that. That is over. Dad liked it as well. Yes, sir.
He runs a business that he actually closed down for 2 weeks while he was handling the litigation with the NCAA and the compliance office here in Nebraska. He sung the praises to us last night about the work the compliance office did on his behalf, just to give his kid a chance. A father, a son, a ball, and a dream in the heartland of America after trailing by 14. The band plays on in Lincoln. There you see the drive. Tanner Lee, by the way, this is the first time in the history of his football career at any level, okay, high school or college, that he's had 2 rushing touchdowns in a single game. And it's now 17-14 as the Huskers look to get a much-needed victory after having a second-half comeback fall short in Eugene, Oregon last week. Now let's see Northern Illinois with Blake and Huff awaiting this kick. If they can mount their own comeback. They've been shut down by Bob Diaco's defense. It'll be a touchback. And they'll have moderate field position against Khalil Davis and company, who have been off the charts defensively of late.
Well, he's been active, and again, whether it was games and deals or just beating his men one-on-one, the pressure came frequently, often, and consistently, and it was usually delivered with force. The game inside there, Coach, for Khalil Davis to affect this team in a positive way. Now the response, can they continue that trend? Alternately, this is where Northern Illinois needs a Kenny Galladay type player. He's obviously a wide receiver now with Detroit, but they only had 51 yards passing to this point. They need to get yards in the throw game.
Well, Carlos is in the game. Khalil is out, and they go long for Blake. He's got it inside the 30. How do you do? Northern Illinois says, we'll see you, and we'll raise you, and we'll play fast right now.
Well, it's fast, but it's how they got it. It's against soft coverage. It's man, you get him turning and just throw that ball up there. Set it just the previous play. You got to push the ball vertical upfield. They got the bulk of their yards passing almost on one play.
56 yards on that play. They had 51 in this half prior to that. Huff ahead to the 25. I should have said 51 prior to that this game in the air. So they got more on one play than they had all game long in the air with this completion.
And how Blake and the concentration on that, to seek that ball and get it in his pocket and then get both feet dragged down. Only needed one, but just tremendous focus on a huge play for the Huskies.
2nd and 6.
Two tight ends come into the boundary on a stem.
And they run right in that direction on the right side. Power there, Les. Yes, that's what you like to see. That's Jordan Huff, and he's been running with attitude all day.
No question, and he is a big man. You just can't. You better go in there and. Did he move up front?
Well, the left side over here is probably what we're looking for. A little, maybe a tweak or so on that side. Well, Huff brings it back the opposite direction again.
Back to the wing into the boundary now.
Antonio Reed needs to bring a little bit with him, though, physically. He just let Huff come through there.
You have a penalty.
Ball start. Number 89, offense. 5-yard penalty, first down.
That's Mitchell Brinkman, number 89, the sophomore from Council Bluffs, Iowa. Listen, Rod Carey, you think about the job he's done. It all started really for Northern Illinois under Coach Novak. What he built was just incredible. And the staying power and the willingness to get guys like Mike Urimovich to come back as his offensive coordinator after spending time with Coach Doran, who left for North Carolina State. These guys love coaching guys that love football, and that's what Northern Illinois is all about.
Kevin Kane, his offensive coordinator, came back as well.
A defensive coordinator, yes. To the 18-yard line to Jawan Wesley. In Kane and in Urimovich, you've got two guys, Spencer, that left and returned, and they left Power 5 programs.
And that's what speaks to the culture. Anytime, people are what influence you. Sometimes you can go and have an experience someplace, but you stay there because of the people involved. And again, that's exactly what he's done. There's Coach Mike Urinovich.
Jerry Kill is another one of those coaches that came in there and just...
No question. He got it going and took their team to the Independence Bowl. I remember it well. Looking pattern to Blake. He's down to the 2 and maybe the 1.
Well, that ball came out too, and again, there's so much to talk about. The laser, the decision to throw it in traffic, hold on to it, and then to get the ball back, because I think it clearly came out.
That was a great throw.
Great throw. The ball actually comes out here near the end of it. See it bounce out there?
He recovered it, though.
And he recovered it and got it back.
16-yard pickup. They're at the 2. Out of the gun. Huff is the lone setback. He carries the mail. He totes it in for a touchdown.
What an answer.
Big-time response from Northern Illinois.
No question. They weren't going away easy. They're in the fourth quarter. It's 8:52 left, and they said, hey, listen, let's take the lead, and let's go play ball.
That was an in-your-face return to sender drive.
Well, this is all about man-on-man up front. And you got to win that battle at the front, and again, you just push them back. It ain't rocket science, guys. Jordan Huff pushes that in for the score. And once again, unlike in the past, NIU answers. It doesn't fade in the early second half.
Hagan boots it through. 5 of the last 9. Les mentioned it at the outset of our telecast today. And 3 of the last 4 Big Ten opponents have seen their dreams die when playing Northern Illinois, to borrow a phrase from the hat.
Good point.
It's often mentioned about the player that's looked over, the so-called chip on the shoulder. Well, Northern Illinois plays fellas like they've got a boulder on their shoulder. And Rod Carey has had a remarkable run against Big Ten teams, and you can see just along their sidelines, they're not going nuts down there. They know. They expect to be in this position. And Christian Hagan will kick it away.
Well, to your point, Tim, he's got 3 MAC championships, although 2 of them were shared under his belt.
Spielman stopped at the 23, moves forward to the 24. Speaking of that, 5 of 9 the program against the Big Ten, but under his watch, they beat Iowa in 2013. That's a big one. They beat the Boilermakers and blew them out in 2013. Then took on and handled a Northwestern team that everyone knows is tough to beat at Fitz's place, and then played the Buckeyes off their feet, the #1 Ohio State team in 2015, only losing by a touchdown.
Yeah, 2013 was that really good year. They were 3rd in the FBS in total yards with over 7,000. So this is old hat to them. They're used to this.
Back in the day, we would have called them the ultimate fly in the ointment.
Oh,
right,
yes.
Spencer?
Yes, sir.
Mikhail Wilbon stopped a yard after about a yard pickup. We'll call it 2nd and 9.
It's their culture.
Yeah.
Right now, they are ready to play in these style of games. It makes just any place, anywhere, and Big Ten opponents don't take this game lightly.
Absolutely. Mike Riley knew, and he talked about it to us yesterday at great length. We know what the narrative is with fans, but they understand that every opponent must be respected, particularly in the Mid-American Conference. Here's Wilbon. McHale bouncing out. He gets to the 30, up to the 31. Kyle Pugh wraps him up. The middle linebacker.
Excellent play call. Better job of running. Mikhail Wilbon did a nice job of bouncing that ball on the draw action. Everybody coming up, and he just kind of wiggles to the outside. Nice sizable gain there.
3rd down and 3 coming up for the Huskers. And the clock is a factor. 7:41 and counting. Trailing by 3 here in the 4th. Wilbon the lone setback. Lee over the middle and caught. There's Stanley Morgan.
Plenty of time in the pocket.
That's a great point.
Settled himself. No pressure. Makes a nice, calm throw.
Something they had trouble with in the first half. Look at this. A 4-man rush. Everybody. Plenty of time. You can sit back there and have a cup of tea if you want. Plenty of time. Lee delivers the ball with accuracy. That's his calling card to push the Huskers down the field.
Are you surprised Spencer Kane did not bring pressure that time?
No, I'm not. Because they're playing to win, but they're not going to give it away.
Come with some this time, and it's a quick hitch. Out to the boundary, Personnel. Demorne Personnel gets it inside the 40 to the 36. Shoved out by Mikhail Allen.
It'll be interesting to see as this team approaches the red zone when this defense from Northern Illinois will become more willing to take risks and come after you.
Stanley Morgan, nice job of helping his teammate Personnel downfield to get an extra maybe 9 yards because he's blocking for him. That's what you do is they come off together, man. That's complimentary football on the same side of the field.
McNitt, the fullback, is in. Yep. McNitt is in, and the I-back is Ozigbo. Play fake, pressure off the edge.
Nice
Lofting it deep for Reimers, incomplete. In the back corner, and again, great defensive work by Jalen Embry.
And I think great footwork by Tanner Lee to get out of the imminent danger and to get the ball and put it in a position where his tight end could take a shot at it. You can see the pressure's coming. It's just a 3-man rush, but Gates is having a hard time off the edge rusher, and he just slightly moves to the left to get outside of that rush.
Well, how good is that in man coverage, though?
Yeah.
Boy, that's good. That's solid defense.
Good coverage by Northern Illinois.
The ball had to be thrown perfectly for it to have been completed. Ozigbo again dots the I. 2nd and 10. Underneath, it's Reimers, 83, the junior from here in Lincoln. East High School is where he prepped, and he stopped by Kyle Pugh again.
Smart heads-up play by Tanner Lee. He wanted to go downfield with it a little bit, stayed to the same side of the field, kept his eyes there, and just checked it down. I mean, you don't need to force the issue. You're moving, driving the ball. Time is a major factor. You don't want to put the ball back in the hands of a team that has the ability to possess it.
Personnel has caught 8 for 101. Morgan 6 catches, 94. They've been the primary targets. Here we go on 3rd down. The curl, and it's Reimers.
Nice throw.
When he had it, he dropped it. I think they're going to rule it incomplete.
The interesting thing is Tanner Lee had the entire boundary.
He
The
sure
ruling on
did.
the field is an incomplete pass. Fourth down.
He did not have control of it.
You're absolutely right, Coach. And again, this is where you're not necessarily looking for Tanner Lee to run it, but he had the whole field and the boundary to release too. Great play design, first of all. Again, you don't want him to run, but when the coverage and your play design takes all of the bodies away from it, run where they ain't.
Go back.
4 for 4 on the season, 2 of 2 today on fourth down conversion opportunities. And it's going to force a timeout for the Huskies of Rod Carey.
Northern Illinois.
Key moment in the game coming up. Stay right where you are. There is a slight wind that Nebraska would be kicking into, so they're going to go for it again. They've been perfect. Fellas, what do you see here? They're 4 for 4 on the year on fourth down.
Well, this is for Danny Langsdorff. This is the most important play of the game, period. I think they're going to move the quarterback out of the pocket, move him to the field, and try to get something opening underneath on a crossing route coming back to him.
Keep J.D. Spielman in mind. He converted the last fourth down, and he did last week too. Over the middle and thrown behind the intended receiver. It appeared to be the tight end Hoppus, and over there defending was Mikael Allen. And so they're now 4 out of 5 on fourth down. A big moment for Northern Illinois as they get pressure again.
They waylaid this quarterback. I mean, they ought to turn protection and give him, you know, some extra guys inside when they know which side of the field they're going.
Kyle Pugh coming from inside, the middle linebacker, got the pressure on him and affected that throw, no doubt about it.
I like the thought of getting the ball down the field, but they've got to work that ball more to the middle of the field against that look.
So a must stop coming for Bob Diaco's defense. Jordan Huff is the setback. Northern Illinois just needs first downs and let the clock go tick, tick, tick.
That's correct.
And Huff is at the 35-yard line, a gain of 2.
Look to see a diet of Huff in this series.
Coach, that's exactly what I was going to ask you. You're the master of protecting the lead, playing small ball. What's the anatomy of this drive?
Yeah, you want to drive the ball on the ground. You want to put yourself in a third and short. You want to get a third and short. Keep it, let the clock run.
Huff now 12 carries for 82 yards. And they go RPO this time towards the boundary, and it's Jawan Wesley who's ushered out at the 45-yard line after the first down, the redshirt junior from Markham, Illinois.
Why bother with burning 2 plays? Go get the first and get 3 fresh ones.
No question. Well, the good news is when you roll, you're not going to get sacked. You get a nice, easy throw in the boundary. Even if it's incomplete, it's incomplete.
You're surprised at the cushion, either one of you, that he had on that play?
Yeah.
Huff remains the setback.
Nice bounce.
Well, this kid has been outstanding, and he delivers the blow again as he's stopped by Antonio Reed. But I'll tell you, 25 felt this more than anyone.
Well, it's just a bad angle on the outside and the edge, and you can see, again, if you're playing your run fits proper, it's not an issue. That's why you've got to play with integrity. Reed finally puts a knock out there on the outside, but it's not until after a significant gain. 96 yards now on 14 carries for Jordan Huff.
2 tight ends. What they did last time is turn and cut right back behind those 2 tight end wings.
Must stop time now. This clock is going to continue to work against the Huskers. Jordan Huff stopped behind the line of scrimmage slightly on that play by DiCaprio Bootle.
And if Huff would have read that properly, Coach, that ball would have probably broke back where they had the 2.
Nebraska. That's their first time.
Yeah.
Timeout.
Mike Riley's got to start using timeouts now, knowing where the ball is located and what's at stake. Wind-blown and scorned, the Nebraska faithful, just under 90,000 strong, and they are very concerned right now. A pensive look as you see second down and 10 for Northern Illinois, looking for the upset today, a 14-point underdog. And Huff burrows under to about the 36-yard line. And listen, I know they had a couple of pick sixes. Luke Gifford made the stop. But they have been legit on defense. And when they had to answer Nebraska after falling behind for the first time, they did it. And they did it in an authoritative way.
Yeah, the big picture anatomy of this game, though, are the turnovers that set up and gave NIU the early lead. And on relatively few plays, a couple of big chunk passing plays, NIU has come back into this game is on the brink of a major upset.
3rd down and 5. Must stop here for Nebraska defensively. Santa Catarina with time. Looping it long and incomplete. I'm a little surprised.
I don't understand that.
Yeah, I'm surprised at not going just for the chains right there.
Yeah, well, you throw the ball out of bounds. I mean, you preserve the clock, which is the last thing you want to do.
That's correct. You don't want to throw the ball out of bounds. You don't want to throw an incompletion. What you got to have is you want to run the football and let the clock run.
Well, they did get some field position out of this drive, Les. We do have an injured Nebraska Cornhusker on the field up at about the 33. Looks like Tyron Ferguson, number 43, might be a simple cramp or Charlie horse. But what they did manage out of this drive is at the very least they're going to give Nebraska about the whole field to deal with if they can get a coffin corner kickoff and force Tanner Lee to take his team the distance.
And this would be, with 3:15 to go, probably the last possession for the Nebraska team.
Absolutely. And a circumstance that we may look back. You know, a lot of times, Les, we say this about the college game. You don't win it all in week 2 or 3, but you know what?
You can lose it all.
You can lose it all. And I think going into the Big Ten season, this is the last non-conference game for Nebraska before they get into Big Ten play. If you look at where they are as a program, what the expectations were in the Big Ten West to compete with Wisconsin, this drive could be the kind of drive that you look back on and say, this defined our season.
Yeah, this is where our team came to life.
Yeah, or not. And Northern Illinois has a long string of victories against the Big Ten that we documented, and it would not be shocking to them. It may be to a lot of other people, but those guys are very proud of the name on their jersey, just as the Huskers are theirs. DeBornay Pearsonell is back deep. Ferens will boot it away, tries to pooch it.
Incredible.
Get in there.
Oh, boy, can you imagine what he's going to be like when his son actually plays? Huh? Well, it's 2 big games coming your way today on Fox. Army battles number 8 Ohio State at 4 Eastern. Then Texas takes on Heisman hopeful Sam Darnold and the 4th-ranked Trojans at 8:30. It all happens on Fox, where every game is everything.
Well, Coach, if you were arrested for being a Cornhusker fan, I think they could come up with enough evidence to convict you.
You're saying right here, right now. Yeah, I know.
We should mention that Coach Miles' son, Ben, is a redshirt freshman H-back and tight end, and very happy here. And trying to make his maiden voyage and be down the middle is tough on a coach, not a conventional broadcaster for many years. There's Mikhail Wilbon ahead to about the 23-yard line. Jawan Johnson making the stop.
Well, I can tell you, I don't envy you. I've got 4 daughters, and I can only imagine what it would be like to have a son playing in this matchup. And it's given our history at Oklahoma, this is a tough one.
No question.
Wilbon remains the back. And he did fumble once today, but other than that, I think Mikhail has answered the bell with the loss of Trey Bryant this week. Pressure again. Tanner Lee takes a massive hit at the 24-yard line as he tried to step up. Bobby Jones comes in there to get him.
And Tanner's got to be really careful down with the ball not to turn it over. Again, they had an inside game with Smith spinning and eventually redirected that left that little clear path for Tanner Lee to step up. But again, he's tall. He wants to make sure he protects that ball and gets his frame down so as to not expose the football and create a turnover.
3rd down and 6. Off the edge, again more pressure. Down he goes at the 15, and it's Sutton Smith, number 15, who affected him on that pick 6 very early in the game, that does it yet again.
Farniok on the outside, number 71. He's been getting handled, and Coach, it's almost like a hinged door on that right tackle side. He's got to stay parallel to the degree that he can to protect his corner.
The situation kills the tackle.
4th and 14.
They know they're throwing the football.
This is the game, and it's picked off on 4th and 14. Corcoran comes away with it. And Northern Illinois is on the doorstep of conquering the Big Ten again.
Yeah, congratulations to Rod Carey for having his team in this position and playing a traditional power and another Big Ten win. And what a great afternoon that
after the play was
Northern
over,
Illinois will look forward to.
Unsportsmanlike conduct. Number 19 of the defense.
Shawan Lurie with
15 yards.
unsportsmanlike.
First down, Northern Illinois.
Well, that is a significant penalty in the sense that the ball now will be marched
That's
back.
number 19's first unsportsmanlike.
But they've run out of time here at Nebraska in many respects. They're going to have to come away with tackling the football. Something wild must happen for that man to touch the ball yet again. 2 timeouts remaining.
Josh Cochran, just a heck of a play of climbing the ladder and high pointing that ball only for the defense, and the dejection there on the opposite face. Listen, he's going to be okay. We were concerned about his body language when we spoke to them personally earlier, but I think he's going to be able to bounce back. But this is going to be a long road to hoe.
Oh boy, it's going to be a long week. Yeah, with Mike Riley and his staff, no doubt about it. Especially the way Bob Diaco's defense reacted. For the most part, a really good game for them. You know, Nebraska was scoring 37 points per game, and you see another cheap shot taken and a flag flying late. Not something you want to see late in a game on either side. But again, just to put it in perspective, you know, the Mid-American Conference has had its moments, and there are quality teams in that league. Western Michigan we know about. Certainly Ohio University is a contender in their division.
After the play was over, unsportsmanlike conduct, number 21 of the defense. Half the distance to the goal, automatic first down. Well, that's number 21.
That's frustration, and that's very un-Nebraska-like.
That's killer. That's killer. Whatever small chance you had just ended.
Nebraska.
And Nebraska takes a timeout.
Timeout of the half. This will be a 30-second timeout.
But listen, this is a Northern Illinois team that lost its big play players. I mean, they're gone to the NFL, Spencer, and they've done it today with defense and power and one big pass to Christian Blake. There was no reason for that from Lamar Jackson. That's more than chippy. It's more than unsportsmanlike.
Well, I think, again, the game for me, guys, turns on 2 things: the turnovers, and then, of course, the ability to get great field position and control without having a lot of downs. I mean, this team didn't run a lot of downs. They're about possessing the ball, points on possession, and running as many plays as they possibly can. I guarantee you they had well under their mean of about 102 plays a game. I mean, it's amazing what they were able to do, but it's because Nebraska gave them the opportunity vis-a-vis the turnovers.
Yeah, it's a Nebraska team that has to regroup and get it fixed, because it's
conference time, Les. Yeah. I mean, you're ready to play conference games now. They were without Bryant, but this was a team that on paper, with the weight advantages they have in their front, should have been able to take care of this club. But you know what? Northern Illinois didn't know that, and their coaching staff didn't. And Santa Catarina takes a knee. Well, time now for the expectation-shattering drive of the game, sponsored by Buick. How about this, fellas? Christian Blake, that 56-yarder, got it going, and it led to the go-ahead touchdown.
Complimentary football, the big play, and then, of course, to bring it back underneath. Sure-handed Blake. 2 key plays on this drive that salted away, and then on the ground is exactly what you need to do in order to protect the lead down the stretch.
Big Huff running the ball, and it really was the only drive of the entire day.
You know,
I mean, if you think about the entire day, that was the drive they needed at the time they needed it.
First season of football in Northern Illinois was 1899. They won a national championship against Delaware in '63. They were playing Division II. They've had 3 consensus All-Americans, most notable Jordan Lynch in 2012. Coach Novak, as we mentioned, got it started. Jerry Kill played a strong role. Coach Doran, now with North Carolina State, continued that and had Jordan Lynch in that BCS buster of a few years back. And now here they are with a number of players on the field today that have their degrees in hand. 6 from Northern Illinois and 2 grad transfers. Another proud moment in the long and storied history of the school from DeKalb, Illinois.
No question.
Tim, guys, I think another story inside the story is Northern Illinois has really recruited exceptionally well.
Offense, number 7, 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
35 of the state's top 100 players were recruited by Northern Illinois. And again, that advantage is you're talking about the capital. Clearly, Nebraska has the ability to go global. They get players out of Florida. They're homegrown, of course, here in Nebraska, but they'll dip into California. They'll go down to Texas and get some players. But in terms of those top players in this region, Northern Illinois has been on par with Nebraska in the recruiting war.
Well, I got to tell you, I've visited Northern Illinois. In fact, Back in 1991, I actually went there, and they had a day on my behalf. Mike Korsick, their longtime SID, I know watching back at home's got to be very, very proud. They have been a magnificent Mid-American Conference team for a long time, and they've earned this. This is a wonderful moment in the history of Northern Illinois University, and good for Rod Carey and staff. Means everything to that program.
No question. It's another Big Ten win. It's a game on the road where you came in to take care of business, and you brought down a big fish. You brought down the Huskers in Memorial Stadium. They'll talk about this for a lifetime. Congratulations to Rod Carey in a great Northern Illinois effort.
That's a backup quarterback, Daniel Santa Catarina, sophomore from Geneva, Illinois. Played his first game against Eastern Illinois, his second career start actually, after Ryan Graham's elbow injury. He made that one big play that you had to have once his team fell behind. Look at those pictures, look at that celebration.
This paid off, Timmy. Again, this is nothing new for them. As you said, they kind of operate in a vacuum in the minds of people outside the big marquee programs. But let me tell you, the culture there that brought both of their respective coordinators back is the same thing that you're seeing right here on the field today.
Check this out. Their fans that are here, they're enjoying every second of it.
Oh, there's no greater joy than having victory against an opponent that you were predicted to lose, and you come to their stadium and you take the energy out of it, you take it into your locker room, and you celebrate with your teammates.
The flip side for Nebraska is that they have to begin yet again. And I know that the future of the program, they've put a lot of stock in Tanner Lee, Les. And our guys back in the studio, Dave Wanstad, accordingly mentioned, what about the possibility of making a change? Well, they didn't, and you saw what Tanner Lee did. He got his first 2 rushing touchdowns in his entire career as a football player. But they were late to break. They came out sluggish today, and they paid a price.
Yeah. They gave him a first half. They gave him 2 touchdowns. I mean, the first half of the day was absolutely their day.
Thank you, Les. Great having you with us for the first time. And Spencer, my friend, I'll see you next week.
All right, buddy.
We'll be in Colorado. There's our final 21-17. After this break, we'll take you to L.A. For Mike Hill, Alex Rodriguez, and David Ortiz.
Hey,